octagons. I don't even know what that is. Look at this guy. He doesn't look like he's ever done a sit-up or a push-up in his life. I thought he could even bench 500 pounds like I did with one arm when I was sick one time. Look at his jiggling. It's so disgusting and infuriating at the same time. Albeit a little bit hypnotic.
Oh my god, why? Why is he so fat? Can't even walk a mile without sweating. I mean, neither can I, but still. This guy's supposed to be the god of destruction. He looks more like the god of McDonald's. Now, I'm loving it. Where's my fucking check?
Now let's compare this fat jiggly piece of shit to a real muscular god in this series. Oh yeah, look at those muscles. The pectorals are so gigantic. They're bigger than this fat kid's head. Everything on him is so great. He even turned the skinny little man like Kid Buu into a strong, muscular man. But then he did tons of CrossFit and lost it all like a bitch. And just look at this transformation. Look at the muscularity in that skin-tight suit. He's muscular from head to toe. Look at the quadriceps, the calves, and the hamstrings. I'm sure he's got some big glutes, if you know what I mean. The biceps, the triceps, the deltoids, the trapezius, and of course those massive pectorals, which almost put me to shame. Well, not really, but at least he tried.
Potala, potala, skatala, gattai saikyo. Damas, and Goku Black. Takai Kigulai, Kaioshin no Minarai. Ningen Gilai, Kako, Genza Milai. Ningen Holobo Style, Ningen Zero Keika. Dakara, potala, potala, skatala, gattai saikyo. Mitame o stetara, Miya Miyatara Tsuyokera. Potala, Bushimi Dakara, Kiraretara, Fuelu Kara. Uchu, Solomon no Mugen Zamasu. 無限に増えて人間滅ぼす神々辛い辛い未来それでも絶対諦めない盾希望の戦士世界の盾になるために僕のベジータ未来に助けに来たら初めに苦しみ大ピンチだからポータラポータラスカッタラ合体最強ベストブルー気が高ブルーベストブルー心揺さぶる強さ荒ぶる合体したら強敵もへっちゃらポタラ使ったら合体最強ポタラ使ったら合体最強ドラゴンボール Z ドッカンバトル
Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to Laughingstock Media Live, or should I say, Cell Saga Media Live, where we are perfection. And today we're going to be going even further beyond, where unfortunately I don't have the ability to grow my hair to super length, and also to immediately shrink my eyebrows into my head wherever Goku puts them. But either way, I will be today campaigning harder for more, well, growth on this channel. Part of the reason for doing these live streams, trying to grow my channel to greater heights than before. You know, as I said in my most recent video, I want to hit 150,000 subscribers this year. So if you're watching right now, hit the like on this stream. And if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe and enable those damn notifications so that you can see all my videos right away when they come out. Because, you know, the more growth this channel has, the more likely YouTube's going to be to promote it, to promote the stream, and so on. Additionally, not just that, but also, I, on my channel now, have memberships I have enabled, which I'll show you right about now. All you have to do is go to the channel page, click join. You can do this on desktop, mobile, so on. And you can see we got 3 tiers here. It reminds me of somebody I used to go to school with. You know, he was golfing one day and he was being taught how to golf. And somebody was like, oh, you know, the reason why they say 4 when they yell before they golf is because 4 is the loudest number that you can yell. And my friend is like, allow me to prove you wrong. And he just screamed, 3. And then he proceeded to do that all the time for the next few years. It wasn't annoying at all. Anyway, I have 3 tiers. The first one, emojis for all. You guys just want to support the channel. Maybe you don't have enough monthly money. I understand the income thing, especially in this day and age of the hyperinflation we're getting into with the Deutschmark of the dollar, basically, and a lot of other currencies around the world, especially with the move toward digital. And so I've always been an analog man myself. And so basically, you can support the channel for 99 cents a month, less than $1, and you will get all these emojis that you could use right away. 3 for Harold, because of course, he needs way more than me. And, the channel profile picture, the Gygus inspired one, which then Zamasu ripped off. And, you get all these badges as you kind of level up with your membership here with, I think immediate one, 3 or 6 month maybe, a year, and then 2. Second tier, LSM fan, you're going to get access to exclusive content, members only stuff on here, and also you get to join the Discord server. So my mod Biggie Cheese Jr., I'm still waiting for a senior to show up one of these days, like King Cold. Hopefully he won't get sliced and diced and blasted through like Freeze's father, rest in peace. He were wasted potential. And, you get to join our server because he built that, and it's pretty awesome. We'll have a lot of stuff there. A lot of the member exclusive stuff's going to be right on the Patreon. So if you join, you're like, why don't I see anything on the community tab? Well, because I'm trying to get you guys to join the server so that we can hang out and have fun and, do live streams there, video games, movies, wrestling. I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on wrestling here tonight because I watched WrestleMania, 2 nights of it this past weekend, and Raw. Not as War because they don't call it that anymore, but I watched that yesterday too. So you could do that. The link will be on the community tab. I'll show you some of the exclusive stuff in a minute. And also, the highest tier, $10. I decided not to make it like 50 or 100 or 250 like some other channels, which is ridiculous because, if somebody's willing to support a channel that much, that's awesome. But, for me, I know that would be pushing it. And so $9.99 a month, highest tier, and you're going to get even more exclusive stuff on the Patreon. And, we'll be doing stuff in the future. Maybe I'll play video games with everyone who's the LSM super fan tier. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's Laughingstock Media. Now we just kind of channel the great late Toriyama sensei, where I just do stuff by the seat of my pants right now. I'm wearing my oversized pajama pants here, which is basically a meme on this channel now, I feel like. And, it's going to be fun. Talk about exclusive content. Let's go on over that tier, that stream. Speaking of, you'll get access to live streams, the non-canon ones after they go up, and a bunch of member exclusive content, all the manga videos, and not just that, I'm doing even more, going even further beyond with the manga content. Here, as you can see, Dragon Ball manga chapters 24, 25, and 26. Brand new up on the channel, past 10 days. I debuted them. Actually, I'll show you a preview because, I don't know how to not click on things, apparently. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to my review of chapter 24 of the Dragon Ball manga. Jeez, look at my beard at the time. I was a little bit thicker back then, as you could see. I was not dieting as well as I am today, which is terrible. But, you could see awesome stuff like this with Master Roshi looking right into that screen. And, it's, I do stuff like that. Speaking of Toriyama also, in my most recent manga chapter review, what I do here, you could see I did a huge Q&A with Toriyama after the manga review came to a conclusion. And, I went through the whole thing and all of Toriyama's answers. It's really interesting to see what he thought about a variety of different things, and yeah, it was pretty awesome. I'll like my own content. So yeah, you get access to that and even more stuff on the Discord server, which there will be a link in the community tab that only members can see. You need to be in tiers 2 and up because I don't want people to pay $1 and then go on the Discord server and just like trash and troll me and stuff like that. So that's the only reason I'm not doing it for the 99-cent tier right now. Maybe in the future I'll open it up and then, our mods will be able to handle that stuff. I'm pretty busy, so it'd be hard for me to do that, especially since sometimes like I don't go in the server for, a few hours at a time or whatever. But we'll figure it out. Either way, thank you all so much for watching, enjoying so far. And let me go to the live stream. We got 33 people watching right now. Awesome. Leave those likes so that way we can get everything going on here. Also, AP, first super chat of the night. Thank you so much. Presidente, you are awesome. I always appreciate that. You're also a member here. Really appreciate that too. It's getting cut off for some reason. But yeah, thank you. Let's do a shout out here. Let me do on the correct screen, by the way. I'm going to pop it out so it'll actually show up on the right. I just clicked on this thing, moderation activity. I don't know what that means, but I guess I'll find out. Hopefully it's not like paranormal activity, because then I'll be bored for 90 minutes and then, there'll be jump scares for like 20 seconds where they just have establishing shots of different rooms of somebody's house that they shouldn't be able to afford, especially nowadays. It's like every time you watch a show on HGTV, it's like, we're a young couple. I'm an intern, and, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom. Our budget is $10 million. It's like, what? Then again, I used to actually work with a lot of realtors, so I actually worked with people who were on HGTV shows, and a lot of them are BS. They're all fake. So, it's pretty interesting. But I don't want them to sue me. And also, I don't want to bother some of the people I know who actually like to watch those, so I won't give away the secret behind how clearly fake it all is. Like Chopped, for example, that's all editing. All right, so David Gaynor, are you related to Kyle Rayner? Doesn't even make any sense, just because it rhymes. Mike Kachin or Adamantium? I don't know. I mean, we don't have any equivalency, right? Like, Adamantium is supposed to be the strongest in Marvel. Even Galactus has his armor made of it. Kachin. I don't think we've ever seen anyone break regular Kachin, but we know that Kachi Kachin is what they used to make the Tournament of Power ring out of. And that's even stronger. And people are just, even TN was smashing that stuff up. So, there's very rare instances, I think, of anyone being able to break adamantium. I can't think of any off the top of my head, to be honest, from all the comics I've read. I've seen people break vibranium, like Cap's shield has been broken in the past. I think Ultron and Thanos were able to break it. To be fair, Thanos was using the Infinity Gauntlet at the time, so that doesn't really count. But I think that Ultron might have been able to break it at one point. Maybe Hulk? But, a little bit different. But yeah, if you guys want to join, memberships, I wanted to have this stream not be all members only. Last time we did pretty good in terms of, when I had the members only stream, a lot of people joined. And, I had one of my super generous, awesome members, Talking Bucket, who his name always pops me, to use wrestling terminology, donated a lot of super chats, so I really appreciate that. Speaking of not smoking, but in a couple weeks, not even at this point, I'm going to do a special stream for the upcoming holiday this month. The upcoming holiday this month. But tonight, I decided to have a stream earlier than I usually do. I want to test the waters, let's say. And so I didn't start intermittent fasting yet. So for once, I could actually, let me show you how Harold opens a beer. Hold on. Nah, I can't do it. They always pre-open them, I think, in the movies when somebody opens it with their with the eye or whatever. But Harold is more oh, and then it just pops off because the gains and all. But if you guys got off work or you're a day drinker, well, feel free to join me. Usually I don't drink because I'm trying to get cut and lean. you know, so that my radiant gains are not covered by subcutaneous fat or whatever. Whatever Harold says, and, you know, in his really thick accent, I just, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, Harold. But I am also going to be making some videos here tonight, you know? So, in the spirit of Cell Saga Media, I'm going to do a cell-related video about, in fact, something very spirited to go in line with me drinking spirits. Can you guess what it is? Let me know. Also, this is a canon stream, by the way. We'll have to see if I change that by the end of the stream if it gets too crazy. But it will be going up on the channel. Xavier, you retracted your message. I can only imagine what you had to say. Still waiting on you to join the Discord, by the way, Xavier. No shaming or guilting, by the way. I need to grow this part out again so I could do like at one point I was doing the whole twist like in with this, and also the you're on a McDonald's play place listening to this while your kids play. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't been to, man, I remember I used to go to those when I was a kid, go in the ball pit and stuff like that. That was kind of fun. Chuck E. Cheese too. I remember I went there sometimes. And yeah, Biggie, I'm going to be doing a stream on that particular holiday. It's going to be pretty lit. We're going to be blazing hot in terms of our quality content that day. Yeah, Flower, missed vlogs, you got it. Speaking of Flower, yeah, so I'm going to do a video that has oft been requested here on Laughingstock Media, which is now Cell Saga Media, except when I don't upload Cell Saga videos, and then it's like, I don't know, Boo Saga Media or Dragon Ball Media or soon-to-be JoJo Media. Sometimes, if the algorithm helps promote that. Another reason why I think it'll be really helpful if you guys subscribe, enable notifications, interact, because that way we can start getting my other content promoted too. Another video I might do tonight actually is my top list of another favorites list. You know, I did my video game ones recently, but I have some other ones like anime and movies. As a matter of fact, I was going to do my top 10 favorite movies list. And now it's like 35 of them, so I think I'm going to do a top 50. I'm going to do like a Cinemasker or Robert Eger collective learning or collative learning type of list where it's like, here's my top 50 movies of all time. Some anime movies will be on there, like my favorite Dragon Ball movie, World's Strongest, and also my favorite non-Dragon Ball anime movie, one that involves vampires. I know it's not the Twilight anime. I hope that isn't a thing that exists. Otherwise, I'm going to have to drink a lot more. You know what? Let me do a poll. By the way, are mods able to do polls, or do I have to just do that every time? The less I have to do, the better. You know, we're a min-max media all the time, even when we're Cell Saga Media and Laughingstock Media and Angry Austrian Media, all that shit. Which is stronger in caps? Wow, thank you so much, Micah. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that correctly now. For becoming an LSM fan. I'm gonna like show that in a second. I'm just making a poll. Oh, you can't make one? That's annoying. That's all right. I'll give me 1 second. just had pizza for dinner too. I had some really nice thin crust from a local pizza place that they have here. Pretty awesome. I had meatball and cherry peppers. Put some red pepper flakes on there and some Jamaican hot sauce, I think. It was really good. I'm a hot sauce connoisseur. I literally have a fridge full of hot sauce. It's not this one, though. I don't use this as much as I should, really, because I'm in here a good amount. But I usually put, like, soda in there, like diet soda. Let's see. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. Adamantium. Kachin. Now, if depending upon which one wins this, I might do the Kachin, but we'll see. I mean, it's people like Dragon Ball in here, so I wouldn't be surprised if Kachin wins. But I don't want to influence it. Just disregard anything I say. All right, so okay. Speaking angry Austrian, I'm speaking space Austrian right there. Thank you so much, Micah W. Are you sure you're not like the European version of me or something, Micah W? Kind of like, kind of like this. As you know, I'm straight fire, so. I actually made this when I was a kid in shop class. Should have seen me earlier. I was wearing my Leatherman Tools hat, and going out in public, looked like a total handyman or something. But yeah, I used to take shop, and it was a lot of fun. One of the things that was cool about when I lived down south. I also made this as I scratch my bamboo desk. Also made this candle holder. I'm going to start actually making my own candles soon. That's better. I like it. All these receipts out of the way, too. Okay, let's see. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. So, thank you so much, Micah W. From Mike W. Xavier, wow, thank you so much for your super chat. I wish I could heart these, but that's all right. You know that you'll be in my heart, like Phil Collins or whatever. Susu Studio and In There Tonight and all that. Cell was more of a Super Saiyan than Vegeta was on Namek. Well, yeah. I would assume so. Also, Mike, what do you think is the strongest metal in Marvel? Uru, Vibranium, or Adamantium? I mean, again, probably Adamantium based upon what I've actually seen. I've seen Uru be destroyed, whether or not it's Thor's hammer or I think the destroyer armor that Odin wore when he kicked Thor's ass and threw him out of Asgard in Thor Ages of Iron, I think. I have it behind me. And, well, it wasn't destroyed in that one. Like, Thor got wrecked. But I've seen it be at least damaged. Adamantium, I don't remember seeing any adamantium get destroyed except by, like, reality warping or something, Like, Thanos, like, I think snapped or kind of wished away Wolverine's adamantium inside of him. Wolverine, like, had his adamantium ripped off his body by Magneto in one comic that I don't remember the name of. I'm trying to remember if Galactus's armor ever got destroyed. I remember Thanos, like, blasted Galactus's helmet off, but I don't really remember it being destroyed. Did anyone ever fly through Galactus's armor, like, punch a hole through him or something. Wait, that reminds me. Actually, I do remember an instance. Onslaught. In the Onslaught War comic, the big event in the 90s, I think, we had, I think Hulk and Thor were both able to damage his adamantium armor that he was wearing. When Jean Grey removed Hulk's mind, made him mindless Hulk, he punched Onslaught and cracked his armor, which was made of adamantium, and then Thor flew through his body with his hammer. Now, I don't know if that means that the Uru is stronger. I would assume it just has to do with Thor's strength, because when Thor doesn't hold back, he's way more powerful than the Hulk and a lot of these other characters. But, just look at what happened with him versus the Void, where he just decided to stop holding back and hit him with a normal lightning bolt and killed him, which was really stupid, because it's why didn't you do that before, especially when your brother was literally being killed in front of your eyes? But Sentry is just such a stupid character that I've never liked him. And it's he's so strong. Sentry stalemated Galactus, and the Void is even stronger. And then Thor easily kills him. And not even just that. The Void got taken out by a freaking helicarrier. Really? This super strong character who's stronger than Galactus, I guess, got taken out because Nick Fury flew the helicarrier into him. That's it. Or Sentry got stalemated by the Hulk, who wasn't even Worldbreaker yet. He was Green Scar Hulk in World War Hulk. Massively overhyped, overrated character that just isn't a very good character, that they literally tried to lie to audiences, and they were this character was actually a classic Golden Age superhero in Marvel, but he disappeared for years and we brought him back. And it's no, you didn't. You just made that up so you could try and sell more comics. He wasn't there. I don't remember if Titan was like that in Grant Morrison's JLA comic from the 90s. I remember that post-Crisis they had him, I think his name was Titan. He came in and he was the former leader of the Justice League, and nobody remembered him, but he somehow survived the retcon or whatever. And then I don't remember if he became a villain. I haven't read it in a long time, but I have all of them in my comic. You could see the JLA right. It's so hard to point here, right here. Thank you so much, Darth Bobcat. Awesome, for your $10 super chat. Got a video to suggest, okay? What would happen if a Saiyan just kept on training and never had a traumatic event or back tingles? I hate that. That's the thing now. Would they eventually stumble into Super Saiyan? That's what I assume happened to Goten and Trunks. That they just were really talented prodigies, and they just were fighting, and then eventually they transformed. In the anime, we have Goten become a Super Saiyan sparring with Chi-Chi, which is really dumb. He would have killed her immediately if he kicked her as a Super Saiyan. It's kind of like when Mr. Popo was blocking their strikes, even though Popo flat out said he was weaker than Kami in the 23rd tournament lead up, and then Kami's not even strong as Goku and Piccolo Jr. from that fight. And he's holding back the punches from Goten and Trunks, which is why the hell didn't you do something earlier, Popo? Because Goten and Trunks are shown to be not that far behind the adult Super Saiyans at that point, which means that they would stomp the androids and stuff. Look at them fighting in their base forms together against 18, but even though she was obviously holding back because she didn't realize she was fighting against somebody that strong, she can't sense any more than they can sense her. But yeah, in the original continuity, I would say yes, but in Dragon Ball Super, it doesn't seem like it. In Dragon Ball Super, the Universe 6 Saiyans, the Saiyajin from, I don't remember how to say that in Japanese, they were stronger than Super Saiyan God in their base form. And yet they couldn't even become a Super Saiyan. They'd never even heard of it. even though all of them should have like infinitely higher S cells than everyone in Universe 6, including Goten Trunks, or Universe 7. So the fact that they didn't, even though they were like able to finger flick Buhan at that point, like Kale and Caulifla, which so many people in this fan base don't seem to understand. They just think that, oh, Goku is holding back in his Super Saiyan Blue to be weaker than, like, you know, I don't know, he was on Namek or something, which is stupid, makes no sense, even with Dragon Ball Super scaling. The fact that they were that strong and they didn't become Super Saiyans naturally is really telling, I suppose you could say, in terms of that regard. So, in the Super continuity and maybe even GT, because Pan never becomes one, maybe. But, yeah. Let me know in the comments. Let's see how that poll's going. Wow. Was not expecting it to be even. Hey, Mike, are you going to continue the member-only chat review? Oh, chapter reviews. Yeah. So I released 3 this month so far. They're not going to be daily like they were in the past because I don't really know how that... I got to like figure out how the algorithm and everything works in that regard, to be honest, with member stuff. And, you know, but either way... Oh, the current one expired. Hold on a second, Mike. I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the community tab again. Hey, Biggie, can you send me like one of those never expiring ones on Discord? Mike, what's your max bench? Right now, I don't barely anything. I mean, I haven't benched like an actual bench press bar in, I don't know, a couple years. Yeah, so Biggie's going to send me a link to the Discord server soon, and I'm going to do another community post, and that one's going to be a permanent link, which could go wrong, but we'll see. But yeah, I haven't like benched really in a long time. I mean, I could do a bunch of push-ups, so maybe that somewhat translates. In the past, I could do like, I don't know, 230, 240. But in terms of like for like a one-time bench, I don't know. I could bench a lot more than I weigh right now. So the link, Progs, I don't see it next to your name, but the link is only going to be for, so I said this before, I'm going to be posting it only for, and only admitting people to the Discord server who are tier 2 and up. The main reason for that right now is, well, first off, I want to give people like a good reward, I guess you could say, or a good like reason, incentive, rationale for signing up for the LSM fan and LSM super fan tiers. So they're going to get like exclusive content. They're going to get the Discord server, everything. The second one is because, you know, I don't want a bunch of people who either are not members or who just don't like my channel and don't really like want to do anything other than fight and cause drama to go into my Discord server and then do exactly that. You know, if somebody pays 99 cents a month, I still appreciate it. But if they do that just because, oh, I'll pay $1 and then I'm going to go to Mike's Discord server and I'm just going to like trash him, or I'm going to post disgusting things, or I'm going to do this or that. Like all it's going to do is like cause more problems for me and everyone else. Like my mods are going to have to do that. Like I'm going to have to like put up with stuff when I'm trying to like have a good, peaceful community, you know, that's not just trying to constantly engage in BS and like, you know, like a lot of the stuff out there in the fandom, like the worst aspects of it. And, you know, like I'm not interested in that. I'm trying to curate like a good, strong community of people who enjoy the same content and want to have like respectful conversations, You know, you could have respectful debates, sure. I'm not really much of a debater myself in terms of like wanting to do that very much. But if people want to like go on the debate, like the heated debate or whatever section of my Discord server, and they want to like debate each other about the topics that they want to in particular, and then they can, you know, as long as they're respectful with one another, it doesn't devolve into name calling and all the other childish BS, then totally fine by me. I'm not anti-debate. I just don't really like to do it myself because like I feel like it's just I could devote all of that energy that I would expend on hours of like prepping and figuring stuff out and then conveying and articulating my particular viewpoints to just make videos or just hang out and have fun or like live my life. In the past, like 10, 15 years ago, I was all, you know, I would have been all about that. Like that would have been something I'd go hard on, let's say. But nowadays it's like, I have so much better things to do with my time, not to like throw shade at debaters and stuff. It's more like, I don't know. It's not really something I enjoy to do. I'd rather just chill and have fun than to like spend 12 hours gathering every single piece of evidence I need and formulating my viewpoint and then going in and debating somebody and then having to deal with like debate tactics where it's like, you know, let's appeal to the audience so that they'll be able to be more on my side. Let's utilize like gotchas and let's try and use funneling tactics where instead of like focus on the overall narrative, we focus it and laser point it down to one particular point. Do you agree with this? If so, you're right. If you don't, you're wrong. It's like, I'm over that. I'm not about that myself. Especially about like, I don't know, anime and things like that. You know, like I used to debate things that were like politics and economics and, you know, philosophy and religion, stuff like that. Like now it's more like, you know, I'd rather just have maybe a fun conversation of that. I don't even know who Destiny is. That, you know, that shows, you know, I mean, maybe it's a big YouTuber who does a lot of debates. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that. That's the thing. Like when I watch YouTube and stuff like that, I don't really watch anime content for the most part. Like certain channels I would in the past, or I go back to every now and then. One of the channels I thought was interesting with a funny name is kind of like, you know, my channel is a funny name, Laughingstock Media. But, you know, one channel I used to think was kind of enjoyable for their anime breakdowns was Mother's Basement in terms of like the OP breakdowns that he would do, like the JoJo ones and other JoJo content that he would make. He would make them. I'm trying to remember who some of the other big JoJo channels were I would watch like a couple years ago. Yeah, I don't really watch a lot of political channels either, to be honest. Like, I used to be way more into that, but I feel like I leveled up to the maximum threshold there, and now I'm just like, I'm not interested in talking about that anymore, or like watching people debate about it. It's like, especially like every 4 years in America, when we get to the elections, it's like now everyone who didn't give a shit about politics for years and like doesn't have any real education on the subjects, then they start to get vocal about things. It's like, oh, I must vote for D or R, blue or red, and I must vehemently defend, even though I don't actually understand how the policies and the politics work in this case, because I've never read a history book outside of high school, or, you know, I've never actually looked into economic policy or geopolitical stratagems or anything like that. It's like, okay, I feel emotionally about this subject, and thus I will vote for this candidate because, you know, X, Y, and Z, which are like the most surface level BS ever. So don't really get into it because I'll just be like, okay, well, what you're talking about right now is like 100 years ago they tried that and it didn't work, and like, have you ever heard of like this and that, and like, are you aware of the effects of this particular policy or these economic strategies, and constrained controlled economy versus laissez-faire, and Austrian economics versus Keynesianism, and why are your eyes glazing over right now? How about that sports team? Yeah. John Griggs. I absolutely cannot figure out how to buy a membership on here. Oh, I don't know if you... Can you do it on the live stream? Let's see. Maybe you can do it on the live stream. Somebody will have to tell me. Oh, you can do member. Yeah. So I think if you click on the dollar, you'll have 4 options. Let me show you right now. I mean, maybe it doesn't look the same for you. Thank you so much, Brocktavius. That's a really awesome name. It sounds kind of like Dr. Otto Octavius with Brock Lesnar's name in there. Brocktavius. Oh, wait, you can't see it. Fuck. Here we go. So for me, I see like the dollar sign, and then I click on it. I get 4 options here. One of them is memberships. So click. Why isn't anything happening? So I probably can't buy a membership because I guess I'm technically already a member of my channel. Oop, what the hell happened there? So yeah. Yeah, Stanley loves his alliterations. He was great. I was going to say another one we lost way too soon. I mean, I guess it's always too soon for him. But yeah, he was in his 90s, so, still. Him and Christopher Lee, like, they should have just never died. Especially Christopher Lee, because he was Dracula. But, he just needed to drain somebody's blood and keep going. Yeah, I've unfortunately read some of those Vince texts, and I wish I didn't. It's like, you cannot unsee. Yeah, I like the Hammer horror films with Christopher Lee's Dracula and Van Helsing, and I know Irvin Kershner also played Van Helsing, but I think Christopher Lee did in one movie. And I think Christopher Lee might have played the Mummy once, but he was mostly Dracula. And that's why, they had him do Count Dooku, because he was Count Dracula. So George Lucas was a fan of him playing Dracula. But I also like, not Irvin Kershner, Peter Cushing. Sometimes I get their names mixed up because, of course, Irvin Kershner was the director of Empire Strikes Back, as well as RoboCop and some other movies. And, as a result, well, RoboCop too. And so as a result, I sometimes will think of their names mixed up. But either way, yeah. But I also really like Bela Lugosi as Dracula in the black and white movies, or Bela Lugosi as what James Rolfe said it's supposed to be pronounced. And yeah, let's see. Yeah, Van Helsing was played by Peter Cushing. Absolutely. I feel like Christopher Lee might have in one movie, though. But maybe I'm just thinking about something else. Am I on Spotify or Apple Music? No. I don't know how to do that yet, but maybe in the future I will be. Why didn't the Budokai announcer show up for the Cell games? I mean, he probably wasn't going to get paid to do it, so... I mean, it's a job for him, right? He's got to pay for those sunglasses somehow. He's the Budokai announcer. He's not the Zeldakai announcer. Patent pending. Yeah, Fright Night. I remember that. Yeah, if you can't do it on the mobile, try and do it on the YouTube website, maybe. You can just go to my channel. And then click on join. And Biggie, when you send me that, let me know on here because I don't get the Discord announcements or the Discord notifications. By the way, we got 53 and now 49 people watching. Can we get those likes up? Let's get 50. And then I'm going to start recording my stream or recording my video. Come on, Mike, you haven't even had one beer yet. Like, get it together. Maybe I'm more tired than I thought. I did walk a couple miles earlier. I walked for miles inside a pit of danger. Oh, okay, you did send it to me. Awesome. All right, let me go and make that community post real quick, and then I will start my recording about could Cell make a spirit bomb? Even though that's not what they say in Japanese. The Genki Dama. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Mind of the North Star, gifting 5-time memberships here on Laughingstock Media. Soul Saga Media shortly. We are perfection. Very awesome. Got John Griggs joining. Saiyan Podcast. Ooh, a podcast run by Saiyans? How often do you get Zenkais with that algorithm? Yeah, I wish I got Zenkai every time my algorithm smashed me in the ground. But then again, you can argue every time I come back from a break, it's like a Zenkai. You know, I feel a lot better. Crest of Honor, T Pearls, and Darth Bobcat. That's a cool name. Yeah, big W for Mind of the North Star. Well, let me make, so for everyone who just joined, by the way, let me make that community post for the members. And all of you will be able to join my Discord server set up by the awesome Biggie Cheese Jr. And couldn't have done it without him. I would have just gotten pissed off and given up. In the past, I was more patient with these things. I remember when I was like a teenager, I actually read a book on on web design, and I was able to build my own websites in Word, WordPad actually, and that would save them as like a rich text document. And then in turn, I would be able to make a whole website. It was awesome. So, yeah. After I record this, I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on WrestleMania. I was considering doing a video about it, but I don't know. I mean, it might not be relevant anymore. But I do want to talk a little bit about it because, you know, I've been a wrestling fan on and off for about 30 years now. Let's see. Now, I got to remember not to make this just a regular public one. Right, so LSM fan hire. Okay, that is now over on the community tab. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Shonen for Life, for your super chat. Is there a way for me to heart your no, I couldn't do that. My North Star, you know, right here for you. Why wasn't grade 4 used after the Cell arc? Great question. So let me show you right now. I have an answer for you. In a far more competent answer than I will give to you right now, which I'll show you on screen momentarily. If I can find that. Here we go. I was actually considering making that the title, but I figured it wouldn't get as many views. So people typically say Mastered Super Saiyan or whatever. So let me just make sure I'm using the right audio output here. Yes, I am. Perfect. Of course, it is Cell Saga Media. I'm going to show you a Cell Saga video. So right here on my channel, what happened to Mastered Super Saiyan after the Cell Saga? Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I want to discuss a topic that ties a little bit into a previous topic I've discussed on my channel in the past, as let's get that in 4K here, even though you can't see on my stream 4K because I'm doing 1080p because YouTube's a pain in that. Well as a question I've received a number of times throughout my time on YouTube. That would have to be, what exactly happened to Mastered Super Saiyan after the Cell Saga and the Cell games of Dragon Ball Z? Now, a lot of you might be asking the question in response to that question of, well, what do you mean? What happened to it? Don't the characters still have it afterward? Well, yes and no. Because the fact that it does seem that Mastered Super Saiyan, or Grade 4, seems to take on, well, a different form of Super Saiyan afterward. Because in the story, Mastered Super Saiyan, when we are first introduced to it, is quite a bit different in appearance than it is afterward. More specifically, Goku and Gohan are always in it. And yet, after the Cell games and onward, it seems to be not the case, really, ever again. But why exactly is that? Well, in this video, I'm going to be using Akira Toriyama's own manga that he wrote all the way back, starting in the 1984 year of our Lord, going into 1995, and taking it from there, from the writer's own pen, and seeing exactly what might have occurred to cause this change from the story in universe, also out. So let's get into that right now. And if you guys are interested in seeing videos like this in the future, subscribe, and also let me know your own thoughts down below as I go through the video as to what you think happened. But let me switch over my screen and we'll start looking at the manga together and go straight through what Toriyama gave us together. So yeah, if you guys want, you could check out that video on my channel, which is what happened to Mastered Super Saiyan after the Cell Saga. It's a 25-minute video because, you know, I talk a lot about these things in depth here at Cell Saga Media. So yeah, check it out, Shonen for Life, and thank you for your super chat one more time. Damn, it's starting to get dark. I wanted to use natural lighting, I guess not. Oh wow, some more super chats. I feel like that's, you guys should probably not take a sip or a shot every time I say, oh wow, because you'll be dead by the end of the stream. But thank you so much. John Griggs, you know, Mind the North Star is awesome. I agree with that. Thank you very much. And Xavier Da-God, once again. Or is it Da-God? Or is it D-A-A God? Is it Xavier? Xavier. Because I always say Xavier. Do you think Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, Yajirobe, or Chaozu from the 23rd tournament could beat King Piccolo? Also, could Tien have beaten Kami? Yeah. Could Tien beat Kami? I don't think so. Except maybe if he somehow hit him with the Tri-Beam at like full power, but I don't know. I think that everyone other than Goku and Piccolo was weaker than Kami at that point. But with that being said, I will say that I do think that they could have likely beaten King Piccolo. Because remember, Kami finger flicked Goku when he fought him the first time. You know, like when Goku first meet him, you bastard! He goes to punch him, and Kami's like, psh, get out of here. He pulled a Beerus decades before Toriyama ripped off that scene to make Beerus. And you know, then also, what else was I gonna say? Also, look at Krillin's performance against Piccolo Jr., for example. Krillin was surprising Piccolo with his power. He was outspeeding him temporarily. He got in some shots. I think that Tien is always supposed to be stronger than Krillin up until the Buu Saga where they say he isn't for some BS reason. So, yeah, I would say that he likely would have been able to beat King Piccolo there, and so too would Tien. But I don't think that any of them could have beaten Kami. Unless they got off like a lucky attack. Like Krillin, Kienzan, Destructo Disc! And then he chops Kami in half. Maybe that's it. You know, apparently, other than Piccolo, we didn't see any Namekians. You know, they weren't even Namekians back then. But we didn't see these beings using regeneration other than Piccolo with his left arm. Always the left one, right, Toriyama? But... It's annoying. I'm going to have to turn on the lights in here. Great question, though, Xavier. Thank you. In the future, I do want to do more types of scaling videos involving those arcs. Because Grandpa's cough medicine. I don't know what beer my grandfather drank, to be honest. I don't remember I remember only one of them drinking. I don't remember my other one drinking. Maybe he just didn't really care to drink. Krillin didn't know the Destructo Disc in the 23rd tournament. That's interesting. I guess that's true. Maybe Krillin didn't use that technique until he fought against Nappa. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there was an example of him doing so. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Well, Krillin would have gone to the future and talked to his future self, who taught him how to use the Destructo Disc, and then he would have chopped Kami in half with it. How about that? Does that answer your question? Krillin would have gone to the Pendulum Room. That only exists in the filler. That also only happened in the Saiyan Saga. And he would have learned about the Destructo Disc. You know, he would have jumped through the plot hole so that he can end up in the time chamber alongside Goku even before Toriyama introduced it. And then he would have used that technique that didn't exist yet to defeat Kami. He also would have used the Solar Flare first because he never thinks to do that for some reason. He just, runs away instead. Hey, Frieza, I know I just chopped your tail off with this Kienzan, and you literally dodged all of them, which implies to me that you would probably get killed by them. Solar Flare! Hey, Vegeta, now you attack him. Great writing, Toriyama. 10 out of 10. But yeah. Yeah. Krillin was very smart, like every other Dragon Ball character. But okay. Let's record that video. With the Kikoho Tien, I like how you just spell it TN, used on Cell have killed an android. Speaking of, I did a video about that too, David. It's on my channel. Could Tien defeat the androids with the Tri-Beam, I think. And I show, I use Photoshop to have Tien doing the Tri-Beam's hand position, and then, Android 17, injure on the ground after he was fighting against Imperfect Cell, I believe. So check it out on my channel, Laughingstock Media. Another video that was really, Cell Saga Media. Airdog 711. Wow. take another drink. Why didn't Cell try the Kaioken on Gohan or Vegeta? I did a video. Damn it, why is it showing me like not synced up to my voice? Hold on. Okay, now it definitely synced up. Okay, come on, OBS. So I did a video on my channel, which is what if Cell used the Kaioken, where I talked about that. I keep getting people asking me about it, so maybe I'll do that video again. Because why not? That's how YouTube works. Like, you know, one thing I noticed is that people, especially newer people, tend to only watch like the newest content, which means that, you know, every time I share one of those videos in the comments, I might get a few more views, but, you know, people are, if it's not like put like right in their face in the sub feed, or, well, not the sub feed, nobody uses that, in the homepage or whatever, people are never going to know I made it. So that's why I'm probably going to maybe do that video again, like why didn't Cell use the Kaioken? Maybe I'll just like literally just re-upload the video and just call it that and see how many people notice. Mike, you're running out of ideas. Didn't you already do this video? It's almost like that's the point, asshole. I mean, all right, I got my Premiere and Photoshop all good to go. Let's see. Now let's open up those manga panels. Wish I could like save them somewhere, like in terms of like saving my place and just like pop them up instantly, but it doesn't really work with how I use the manga. So all I'll do is just utilize every single example of him talking about the Spirit Bomb, and then Cell talking about how he could possibly do it, and then discuss why he didn't do it. Okay. And then eventually I'm going to do another video, which probably won't be a compilation, but we'll see, of like every technique that Cell can use. I'm going to have to like also perhaps do the I'm going to also like have to reference that one example of Goku using the Spirit Bomb in episode 100 of Dragon Ball Super, where the Supreme Kai just decided to retcon some bullshit in there about how, well, I mean, Toyotaro decided to. Maybe Toriyama helped him, I don't know. About how, like, oh, he couldn't use it as a Super Saiyan because the evil would have seeped into it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's never in the manga, come on. You're just making shit up now. Okay, almost there. Stay on target. Stay on target. Bombs away. Oh, an impact on the surface. Now I'm going to get killed by a Dark helmet. Okay, so there's the Vegeta example. Vegeta's technique. And then, let's see. Vegeta's technique to survive a bunch of BS that he should have been immediately killed by if it was another character. I guess his technique is plot armor, but only so far as getting up to the final boss and then getting beaten, because he never gets to beat the final boss, even though, like the Moro arc, they build him up an entire arc to do so, and then it never happens. They really love, it's so dark in here now. They really love Vegeta, don't they? So I have been trying to see if how my channel and audience, I guess, reacts a little bit to mixing up my topics. So next video is going to also be another Boo Saga video. So, I did Cell, Boo, in terms of sagas. And so the next one is going to be a video I recorded, I think last week, which is, why didn't Bobbity take over King Cold and Frieza? That's going to come out on Thursday at 1 p.m. If you guys haven't noticed yet, my typical schedule is going to be Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I like to call God's time zone, even though Israel isn't Eastern Standard Time, obviously, but you get the idea. Also, well, we're going to have to get into hyper time and cosmology and, omnipresence and omniscience and all that other stuff. So either way, the correct time zone on Earth. Okie dokie. So I got everything all up and good to go. So what do you think is a better way of framing this video? Could Cell use the Genki Dama? Could Cell use the Spirit Bomb? Or why didn't Cell use the Spirit Bomb? Which one's going to get less people going, well, obviously because he didn't have the time to, you moron. Don't you understand how Dragon Ball works? I'm going to not watch your video, unsubscribed. Who do I think is the strongest villain that Luffy could beat? I don't know. You guys would have to tell me. I have no idea. I don't know how strong he is by the end. I've heard from One Piece fans that he's like island level or something, so yeah. I guess why didn't Cell use the Kaioken, or not the Kaioken, the Spirit Bomb is better, but I don't know. I feel like that's one of the problems with questions. Every time you ask a question in the title, even if you know the answer and you're literally doing the video to explain to other people, they'll just assume that you don't know and you're asking a question because you're an idiot and you don't know what the answer is. And so then you have to get a million comments from people who don't have common sense. They have comment sense. And then you have to deal with that every time you make a video. Well, obviously, all of your videos are so obvious, Mike, by the way. So now I'm going to answer with the wrong conclusion because I don't know what I'm talking about. But obviously, you're wrong because of my feelings and emotions, my memory from 25 years ago when I watched the series as a little kid. And totally I remember everything that happened back then, even though I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Gotta love this community. Best fandom in the world. The LSM community, though, top tier. They're perfect, like Cell Saga. Okay, they're not. Okay, maybe that's an insult because the Cell Saga is far from perfect because it's full of plot holes, but they're perfect. Okay. I don't want to promote Miller in this video unless they want to, write me a check. But let's do this. I'm all revved up and ready to go. Blitzkrieg Bop. Okay, so it looks like Kachin is winning in the Adamantium versus Kachin poll. I'll give it to the end of this video and then I'll do another poll. But let's record this. Maybe I want to change up my lighting slightly more. I don't have to do. I don't give a shit anymore. That's the thing with my videos. It's like I used to waste so much time trying to make them perfect. I don't care. Nobody notices or cares anyway. If they do, well, it hasn't deterred anyone from watching. And it hasn't made me care more at this point, right? Like min-maxes stuff. The more I worry, the more I spend time trying to make everything look perfect, the less time I have to make videos and enjoy my life. So many people on this platform, they just sit in front of a camera and they react to things in a webcam and they get millions of views. Obviously, people don't care. So, that's why I would tell so many people I used to know who would do YouTube, why are you spending this much time making your videos? You're wasting your time. I used to do the same thing. I would spend weeks working on one video and then I would upload it and nobody would notice all the hard work I put into it. Nobody would care. And it was a waste of my time. I could have been doing a million other things, or I could have made multiple videos in that time span. Now, yeah, the video's lighting slightly uneven. My door is open to my room, so it's obscuring part of this thing here. I don't care. Let's make the video. If it gets views, it gets views. If it doesn't, well, fuck it. I'm making other videos tonight anyway, so let's go with it. Start this off by taking a sip of water for the working man out there. You guys are awesome. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing a subject that many people have asked about over the years, especially when it comes to me covering the Cell Saga here at Cell Saga Media. I am perfection. Where I am going to talk about Cell himself. Terrible pun, I know. In which the question has to come down to a particular technique that he said he could do. Or could he really? And that is, why didn't Cell use the Genki Dama or Spirit Bomb in the Cell Saga? And not just that, would he really have been able to? And even furthermore, what chance did he actually have to utilize that ability? So, before I begin, how about you lend me your energy so we can go even further beyond here at this channel, because I want to reach over 150,000 subscribers. Let's pump up that power level here this year, guys. And we're going to go further beyond than we ever have before. That's a goal here. Let's hope that we can achieve it by the end of the year. And, that's going to be helped by you guys subscribing, enabling notifications. And if you really love this channel and you want to help support it and you want to join the community, go to the Discord server and that much more, you could become a member on my channel and down below this video. But with that being said, let's get into the subject at hand. Oh man, I'm full of terrible puns. What am I, a manga writer at this point? So with regard to all of this, we have Cell and his, perfection in terms of everything regarding the best, most perfect villain in the Dragon Ball franchise. A character who had the advantage over his enemies. Goku. Initially, when he went to fight him, Gohan, the son of Son Goku, Son Gohan, and the brother of Son Goten, and the grandson surrogate of Son Gohan. No, not that one. And basically, he, seemed like he was going to be able to win in the end. Up until, of course, he ran face first into Gohan's plot power, which he gets by screaming and getting extra angry like every single time he gets stronger, except for the one time where a creepy, perverted old man decided to put his hands in front of him for a day and turn him into an ultimate form. But either way, the fact of the matter is that Cell could have possibly used a special technique in order to secure the victory. The Spirit Bomb, the technique that Goku had utilized time after time again. Now let's talk a little bit about the Spirit Bomb, of course, and exactly how it works, because I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions with regard to the Spirit Bomb. In terms of all that, let's talk a little bit about that first for you guys. So the Spirit Bomb is an ability, the Genki Dama, in which a character, a fighter, who is utilizing that power gathers the energy to them, which they then are gathering what is known as Genki, an aspect of Ki. I discussed this a little bit in a video you guys can see in the top right corner, where I talked about the fact that Genki is actually a particular aspect of Ki. It is not the full battle power type of energy that somebody uses when they, let's say, fire a chi blast, or they, increase the power in their biceps and triceps and stuff like that in order to fight against their enemies. Instead, it is something that they gather the good health or good life energy from different aspects, from different creatures, even inanimate objects, the stars in the sky, and everything that is, let's say, willing to give it. Of course, there is the implication that they might be able to do even more than that. But I'll get into the direct explanation right here that King Kai actually shows when he is showing Goku the first time how to do it. We see that when Goku is dead in the Saiyan saga, he learned how to use the Genki Dama, gathering the energy to him on the planet, throwing it at this brick that King Kai was throwing at super speed and blowing it up. Now, this is when he begins to explain a little bit more. That it is a martial arts discipline that allows you to borrow a small amount of energy from all surrounding life, including plants, animals, people, even the air itself, and then concentrates it and releases it. Even on a planet this small, the Genki Dama had that much destructive force. Just imagine what you can do with a Genki Dama formed on Earth. It's much larger, of course, than King Kai's, and it has tremendous energy from the sun that he could borrow. So the thing is, there's a little bit of an implication that perhaps Goku could take it even, let's say, unwillingly, or from beings, or from, circulatory systems, let's say, that don't necessarily have a will of their own, like the sun, or, as I said before, inanimate objects. So with that being said, one thing you'll notice is that nothing here suggests what many people over the years have said, which is that you need to be pure of heart to use this ability. And I'll get a little bit more into that soon. This leads into Cell himself saying that he not only can use the Kamehameha, but he could probably even create a Genki Dama as well. Now, Cell does say probably. A lot of people over the years have said that he can't because, well, he's evil, and thus as a result, he could never use that technique. But again, as I just established, King Kai never once says you need to be pure of heart to do this. Now, maybe he didn't say this, but maybe Goku or somebody else did along the way when Goku was going to use that ability. Like, for example, right here. The first time Goku goes to use it against an enemy, he goes to use it against Vegeta. Now, when we look at what Toriyama wrote as the narrator, he says that Goku is going to utilize the Genki Dama. He's unable to focus long enough to gather the energy he needs, which is why he used the Taioken, or the solar flare, to distract him. Again, nothing mentions the idea that he needs to be pure of heart to use this ability. He gathers the energy, he goes to throw it at Vegeta, and then he drops it after he gets hit with the Mouth Blast attack. Again, no thing here says that he needs to be. Let's go further ahead when somebody actually does use it, which is Krillin. Goku gives the energy to Krillin here so that he can use it against the weakened Vegeta, who had his tail cut off and reverted back from the Ozaru. And he said that he's going to give Krillin the life energy that he gathered from the entire Earth. Now, what happens here? Once again, there's nothing here that's saying that you need to be pure of heart. When he gives Krillin the technique, he says to him, don't let it overwhelm you. Gohan can't control this type of ki. Now, Gohan is theoretically pure of heart here, right? He does not have any evil ki within him, but he still can't control this type of energy because he doesn't have the capacity, the strength, and the training that Krillin does, having trained not only under Master Roshi, but also under Kami, just like Goku did. And what happens? Krillin goes to throw it at Vegeta, and King Kai explains to him how to do this. He says that the Genki Dama isn't something that you aim with your eyes. You must sense out his evil presence before you launch it. And that he needs to basically feel out that presence again. So the idea that he is sensing the evil presence that he's going to use it against is not saying that you, as somebody with good presence, cannot, or that you're the only person who can use it. Instead, this is more of a target. It's something that Krillin is purposely targeting the evil chi that Vegeta has inside of him, which is what he throws the ball at. So when Gohan goes to deflect it, as Goku says right here that he's able to repel it as long as he doesn't have evil ki, this is not saying that, nor is King Kai's words saying that the only person who could use this is somebody who is not evil, nor is it saying that this is an ability that only works on someone who is evil. Rather, it's just that they were targeting specifically the evil energy of Vegeta with the attack. That's why Gohan was able to reflect it, because the fact that the only target that it actually would hurt and hit was Vegeta. We see this again later on with, Frieza. Goku goes to use it. Again, there's nothing in here that any of the dialogue is saying with regard to Krillin explaining how the ability works, that it needs to be someone who is not evil in order to use it. Goku does not mention that in any of these sequences here. When he eventually goes to throw it at Frieza, we see that he does, in fact, cast it at him, and, naturally, who's he sensing? He's sensing an evil being. The only evil being there at the time is Frieza. You could make an argument, maybe Piccolo still has some evil, but he was specifically targeting Frieza with the ability. It then overwhelmed him and exploded and, didn't beat him because the only person that ever actually beats is Boo, which we'll get into right now, where they go to throw that ability at Boo. Again, look here. Nothing here is saying that Boo would not be able to, let's say, use the ability himself if he were able to do so, because he can literally just see somebody's ability one time and use their power. But Goku, when he went to throw the attack at Boo, he, was sensing his particular power, his evil energy on display. Now, notice again, the idea that this is not power level. It's not like battle power, because as I mentioned in my video before about why Kid Buu was actually able to push back the technique, we see that the strongest fighters on the earth who were alive at the time, with Gohan as Ultimate, Piccolo, the Super Namekian who trained for 7 years and is way more powerful than Semi-Perfect Cell at this point, as I talked about in a video about Piccolo versus Super Vegeta at the Cell Games. And then Goten and Trunks, they give him their energy, and so do all of Goku's friends on the lookout. And yet, it's not that big until everyone on Earth gathers it together, with giving them the maximum amount of ki they can before they would die, and that it becomes gigantic. Again, billions of people, not even, let's say, in the Dragon Ball world, there's been so many apocalyptic events. There's like, millions of people. The fact of the matter is they all give the energy, which is vastly greater than Goku's friends, all of whom, well, would obviously, especially Gohan, would have more power level than every person on the planet and most of the people in the universe combined at this point. So, again, he goes to throw it at Boo, but look at this interesting part here. Vegeta is in the way at the time. Goku doesn't want to throw it because he's afraid he'll kill Vegeta with it. Now, if this only works on somebody who's evil, then why would that be a problem? Obviously, because it doesn't just work on evil people. He's only casting it at somebody who is evil as the target, but the explosion and the damage would be so great, it would kill Vegeta because he's in proximity. So again, that lends credibility to the idea, and all these examples do, that Cell absolutely would be able to use his technique, because not only is he somebody who is not precluded from doing so because of him being evil, but simultaneously he is also a character who would in fact have the ability to hurt somebody who is not evil with the technique, because, well, Goku mentions in the past that if he were to miss Frieza with the ability, King Kai also says this, they could destroy the entire planet with this ability because of the fact that it's so strong, and if you're not careful, you could easily do that. So Cell absolutely has the ability to do this theoretically, even though he does say probably. With that being said, though, there is one example in Dragon Ball Super, and I will reference it because the fact that, well, Dragon Ball Super is, the current canon or the current continuity that so many people in this fandom focus on. So many times when I make a video, people will comment and they'll be like, well, Mike, in Dragon Ball Super, they said this or they said that. But as I discussed in my video, you guys can see in the top right corner and on my channel for people who aren't able to see the cards every time I point up here, the fact of the matter is that Dragon Ball Super isn't a part of the same continuity as Dragon Ball and Z's, manga, even though it's all the Dragon Ball manga. In English, they separate it in two in order to, well, sell it better because, English fans, they saw Dragon Ball Z for the most part first, and so they would be more likely just to buy that section rather than Dragon Ball, which would confuse them. But the fact of the matter is that Dragon Ball Super, made decades later with very minimal involvement by Toriyama compared to the original manga that he wrote and drew every single week by himself and with some little assistance here and there. And, as a result, you can't really retroactively apply a lot of what you see there. So in the Tournament to Power, we have an instance of Goku going to use the Genki Dama, the Spirit Bomb, against Jiren. When he does that, he goes back into his base form. And that's because, according to the Elder Supreme Kai, who somehow knows about this, he says that Goku couldn't do it as a Super Saiyan because of the fact that the evil or the anger and the rage inside Super Saiyan would inherently disrupt the gathering of the Genki and the Genki Dama. It would seep into it and thus kind of corrupt it and make it, well, less likely for it to be able to be utilized. And thus, as a result, that's the reason why he reverts back and why we don't see, instances of him doing it in his Super Saiyan. And so a lot of people will apply this retroactively to Cell and some of the villains and say, well, see, Dragon Ball Super proves, as if it could prove something about a different continuity, that it actually is impossible for that to happen, which, it's also why they say in the Tournament of Power that Goku can't use the Kaioken as his Super Saiyan, which, is funny because the Dragon Ball Super anime directly includes filler content like Pizza and Gregory and stuff like that. And we saw for a fact Goku, when he was dead in the Otherworld tournament, a filler arc, used the Kaioken as a Super Saiyan when he was fighting Pikkon. But either way, they also are like, oh, well, he can't use it because it would be too unstable. And as a result, blah, 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 blah. And so either way, actually it might have been in the Universe 6 tournament. Either way, the fact of the matter is that it's kind of like Dragon Ball Super trying to fix something, but inherently, it's kind of like applying a lot of different things in Super to the manga. They don't necessarily like mesh together. They kind of like are like the same size of magnets that repel each other in terms of the real quality of explanation and information and the canonicity there. So if you want to include that, feel free. I go by the original manga, what it actually says, what Toriyama actually drew and wrote and conveyed to us. And no point in the original manga that Toriyama wrote and drew does it ever once say that an evil character or that Goku as a Super Saiyan or somebody could not use a Spirit Bomb. Again, even going by the movies, we see Goku uses the Spirit Bomb against Super Android 13. Different continuity, but still, he even absorbs it into himself, which the Tournament to Power took that idea and did it for Goku when he absorbed the power of the Genki Dama in order to, replenish himself when he became Ultra Instinct Sign, or, Omen originally. And in turn, kind of borrowed that idea. So either way, when we go back to the manga, I think it makes a lot of sense that Cell would be able to use that ability, even the Kaioken. I talked about that in another video. You guys can see in the top right corner about what if Cell used the Kaioken. I might do it again in the future because, that's how YouTube works and people, never watch videos that I made in the past, but, unless YouTube decides to randomly promote them. So I might just revisit the subject about why he didn't use it. But either way, going into, another video I just made actually recently about was Cell a Super Saiyan. If you want to apply the Dragon Ball Super continuity of that, you could say that that's the reason why he didn't use it. But I think it makes sense to say that he could have. With that being said, could he have practically used it? That's a massive question in itself. I think the answer, honestly, is no. Because when did Cell have the opportunity to use the Spirit Bomb? Never. I mean, after all, look at what we see in the manga and even the anime. He fights against Goku. It's a knockdown, drag-out fight. The entire time, Cell has the advantage. He's holding back. He could one-shot Goku if he went full power from the start, just because he felt like it. But instead, he's only fighting Goku to have fun. The second that Cell became perfect, he could have blown up the Earth and won immediately. Like, he already had won. This was all basically the prologue for Cell, and he allowed his victory to be taken from him because he wanted to have fun. He wanted to toy with his punching bag, so to speak, just like Android 17 and everyone in the future. They could have just killed everyone on the Earth immediately. Instead, they dragged it out for, a decade and a half, basically, just because they wanted to have fun. Cell didn't have the opportunity to use the Spirit Bomb unless, if he went full power and one-shot everyone, then just used it just to finish them off as like, a fatality in Mortal Kombat or something. And then when he fights against Gohan, when would he use it? He had the advantage the entire time up until Gohan went Super Saiyan 2. Then he got wrecked. He went full power, but again, he would have still done nothing. It didn't matter. But then what happens? Well, he blows himself up, he comes back, and he's now super perfect Cell. He's basically Super Saiyan 2, you could argue. And, he has the advantage again because Gohan's arm gets broken. Maybe you can make the argument that Cell at this point would have used the Genki Dama, but again, the Genki Dama is an incredibly unreliable ability that has only ever worked to defeat a single villain, which you could argue is plot-induced BS. And as a result, in turn, in of itself, it wouldn't have really helped him anywhere near as much as just firing a Kamehameha. Cell liked to play with his food like Frieza and most Dragon Ball villains, and, he kind of was stupid to do this instead of just fighting Gohan hand-to-hand, where he would obviously have an advantage, even if he wasn't as powerful, because Gohan literally only has one hand that he could use, kind of like his future self. But nonetheless, as we see, it took forever for Goku to gather the energy for the Spirit Bomb here to use against Kid Buu, and then Kid Buu was able to repel it because, different reasons I mentioned in that video before. It took him forever to use against Frieza, And the only reason he was able to is because he had people helping him to fight against Frieza and distract him temporarily, because Frieza was stupid and didn't just blow up the planet like Cell. And then it didn't work against Frieza. He immediately like gets up and he's slightly hurt, and then he's, you know, killing people. And then it didn't work against Vegeta, who is by far the most weakened out of everyone here. And he gets hit by a spirit bomb, which half of it, you know, existed that the full amount was supposed to defeat Ozaru Vegeta, and yet half of this couldn't even beat like weakened base Vegeta, who was fighting against Gohan at this point. And so why would Cell use a stupid technique that only ever worked one time, you know, maybe twice if you count GT, which to be fair hadn't happened yet, and neither did the Buu Saga, when he could have just blasted Gohan and blow up the Earth and did a million other things that make more sense. He didn't have any time to do it, because it takes forever. And not just that, but also it would have been massively impractical compared to every other technique he could use. So at the end of the day, that's why, as far as I'm concerned, he didn't use it. So why didn't Cell use the Spirit Bomb? Because it made literally no sense to do so. Let me know your own thoughts down below. Subscribe, enable notifications, become a member if you want to support the channel, and stick around. Because there's a lot more to come here at Cell Saga Media, where we try to be perfection, you know, sometimes in the future. That video got pretty wacky as it went on. Hopefully I didn't go robotic at all. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Okay. So what do you guys think about that subject? Hey, it's the Bomb and Phantoms 89. How you doing? XYZ, man. How you doing? Yeah, Jiro, they never addressed him as Gero-sama. No, they didn't, because, you know, they didn't like him. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to control a Goku in the Saiyan Saga was able to do so, and Cell is, well, perfect. I mean, it doesn't really seem like, I mean, that's the thing with the Genki Dama. Like, we never learn any special thing about it. It's like Goku just, like, asks, you know, hey, hey, plants, hey, blades of grass. I don't know how you can understand what I'm saying, but can you give me some energy, please? Oh, thank you. That's awesome. Yeah. Give me that shit. Oh, yeah. Here's that energy I want. Okay, let's go. Oh, it didn't work. I guess I'll use another ability now. Oh, I guess I lost. Hey, my son can beat you. Let's go in a nutshell. Dragon Ball Z. That's really every special technique in Dragon Ball Z, especially in a nutshell. Here's my ultimate technique. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, now all my friends will gang up on you now that you're weak and beat you. Oh, that didn't work. Plot contrivance, go! Oh, that worked. Awesome. Hey, the Spirit Bomb didn't work against Vegeta. Well, thankfully my son is looking at the sphere of light that Vegeta just so happened to conveniently create, and his tail just so happened to conveniently grow back immediately once it needs to, so that he could transform into the giant ape and then fall directly on Vegeta, because he just so happened to be underneath him when he threw the Destructo Disc that he just so happened to learn 2 seconds ago from watching Krillin do it. And then, you know, that just so happened to beat him. Okay, now I'm going to beat you, Frieza, with it. Okay, here we go. Spirit Bomb. Oh, that didn't work. Good thing that you just so happened to kill my friend who had already died once and thus can't be wished back again until, you know, they just so happen to bring back Guru, because he just so happened to die because of the influence of the evil on him that caused him to die early. And I was so angry that I just so happened to transform into the legendary form that nobody else could transform into up until this point. And then when you went 100%, you just so happened to get weak enough by yourself to where I would just, you know, decide to give up. And then you just so happened to also learn the Kienzan, maybe from watching Krillin do it 2 seconds ago, and then, you know, just so happen to jump up at the wrong moment and get cut in half by your own attack, and then I just so happen to turn around, blast you, and beat you that way. Okay, let's use the Spirit Bomb against Kid Buu. Oh no, it's not working. Good thing the Dragon Balls just so happen to have another wish, and now you wish back my energy. And oh, it actually worked this time. Wow. Okay, let's use it against Jiren. Oh, it didn't work. Good thing I just so happened to fall into a white hole that my Spirit Bomb created because we pushed it back too much, and then I just so happened to absorb all the energy from the Spirit Bomb, even though I never actually have done that in canon before. And I also just so happened to achieve a brand new form, which also just so happens to lead into another form that I can win with. But then right when I'm about to win, I just so happened to have it lash back at me because, you know, new forms in Dragon Ball Super never actually win anything. And thus, as a result, I just so happened to also have, you know, my friend and my frenemy, Frieza, team up with me and punch you into the abyss. That this time it just so happened to actually eliminate you, even though like the 57 times that we knocked you off the ring, and we also fell like 15 miles, we weren't eliminated, even though some people they literally got knocked off the stage and by like a single millimeter, and then they just so happen to be eliminated, so their universes could be erased because there's no consistency in this arc. Oh, wow, we don't have enough energy to use the Spirit Bomb, so we can replenish Goku's energy and Ultra Instinct so that he's able to then use his gigantic energy attack where he turns into a giant energy ghost and then somehow could punch people even harder, even though he never learned that ability on screen at any point. They never referenced it until he does it. And good thing that Oob just so happens to have God Ki now, even though that doesn't make any sense at all, and that's not how God Ki works, and blah, blah, blah. And somehow this God Ki, which wasn't even strong enough to allow the Daikaioshin to beat Kid Buu in a straight-up fight, is enough to replenish the Spirit Bomb enough to where now Goku can absorb it, and then he can punch Moro in a gem on his head that just so happens to be his only weakness, even though it wasn't before, and now he just so happens to explode because he punched the gem. Very, very well-written technique. Spirit Bomb, aka the just so happen technique. Everything just so happens to either work or it doesn't. Yes, Marisu. Don't forget how Moro was right about to lose to Vegeta, and then he just so happened to not lose to Vegeta, and then just so happened to whip out a technique which involved him eating an android and getting all of his powers. And now, even though the powers were only able to work for this long and had strict rules, now they just so happen to last forever. And Vegeta's ability that he did not need to hit you with before in order to activate just so happens to now have a weakness where you actually have to touch your opponent in order to do it. And now Moro just so happened to grab Vegeta and learn his ability. And then he just so happens to not use it ever again after this point for some reason. And he just used it to beat Vegeta. And then he just so happens to, fight against Marisu, who just so happens to be an angel and a galactic patrolman and also be a better trainer than Whis, even though he's really young and barely experienced and he hasn't even become a full-fledged angel yet, and somehow just so happens to be able to train Goku to become Ultra Instinct faster than Whis, and just so happens to also be able to destroy Moro until he just so happens to disappear, and he just so happens to hit Moro's gems, which were never established to be his weakness, with the things, with his staff, which seals them. And then he just so happens to get his power absorbed by Moro, which just so happens to be too much for Moro, even though Moro was literally eating an entire universe full of energy and was totally fine up until that point. And then he just so happens to turn to the planet, and then he just so happens to, get punched in the gem and then explode, even though it somehow doesn't blow up the planet. And people want to see this adapted into an anime. Great. Love this fandom. Very, they have a great judge of quality. At least sometimes they could take jokes. But okay, there's that video down here at Laughingstock Media Live. Okay, let's see, where is that anyway? And that was why didn't Cell use the Spirit Bomb? Now, for my next trick. Anyone have any interesting questions they'd like to ask me while I'm prepping for the next video? Go for it. Go for it. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. And if it's a spirit bomb, it won't work. Except for the one time it did. I guess it worked against a Mega Shenron, but you know what I'm saying. And to be fair, the Power brothers, they gave their energy that time. They clearly have infinite Genkis, so. Remember how the androids were like, oh, borrow as much energy as you need? It's like, that's not how Genki works, remember? Like, the androids don't have the same type of, whatever. Did Guru unlock Nail's hidden potential? That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, maybe. It could explain why he was so much stronger than, like, Piccolo and stuff, but... I mean, they never say he did, but it's very possible. Oh, yeah. I was going to do another poll. So, Kachin won this out of Kachin Adamantium, which I don't really know that I agree with. But either way, so let's do another poll. GT or Super? What should people like more? Oh boy, you know, people say that I'm an instigator because I'm making polls recently about GT and Super, even though I'm clearly doing it for a purpose. If those people pay attention, so let's do this. It was suggested by somebody else, so you could blame him for being an instigator, not me. Okay, let's see. There you go. All right, Annie Gaming Network. Annie, you're okay. Are you okay, Annie? Do you think the doubt Cell had about it was that he may not be able to gather the energy to use it? I mean, maybe, but like Cell didn't seem to have any doubts, let's say, about using any of the other techniques. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't see, like I was saying before, there's no real in-universe metric, let's say, about how Goku gathers the energy in the first place. Like, he just does it. He just asks for the energy and it gets given to him. So I don't see why Cell couldn't do exactly the same thing. You know, unless there's some very specific way that he does it, which we're never shown or told, then I don't see it being an issue that he can or does do it. Okay, I'll be right back momentarily, guys, and then I will get to stepping. But no, I'll be doing more stuff with this video. I'll just leave the camera running. I think it'll be funnier. back with some incredibly healthy food, as you could see. Got pumpkin spice donut. I don't care if it's April. I mean, me some pumpkin. Anyone who doesn't like pumpkin spice isn't a true patrician like me. That's why I bought a huge thing of it and I put it in my coffee every day. Thank you so much, Xavier. Wow. It's my own Willis impression. Wow. 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 Unfortunately, he didn't say that while riding a jet ski in Loki, but you know, season 2 is still pretty great. So let's see. You said, what had more potential, GT or Super as a series? I mean GT, because the fact of the matter is GT took place after the end of Z, and Oob was supposed to be like a new main character who like took on the legacy, and Goku could have been like a master, and Pan could have, you know, achieved Super Saiyan forms. You know, like they had like infinite amount of time they could have done things with. Instead, they decided to basically rip off Dragon Ball, but in space, and have like the worst cast they could have chosen for that choice of Goku again as the main character, but this time he's a kid. And Pan, who they made annoying and like frustrating for some reason, and the worst version of Trunks, who's incredibly boring and has like no personality other than I am the smart man. Yeah. That's why GT only really gets good when they go back to Earth and they start focusing on the other characters again. And even then, you know, falls off immediately after Baby up until like the second half and final third of the Shadow Dragons. Everything in between there is just garbage. Super takes place during a time skip. How much potential is there? I mean, it's 10 years, but again, 10 years versus an endless amount of time after the end of Z. 10 years before the end of Z is over. So we already know what happens no matter what. And then anything you could think of after the end of Z. So yeah, I would say GT in that sense is bigger waste of potential, but you know, it's up to you to decide that, because the thing is like too, Super had literally decades in which they could have like improved upon everything and like made the best possible series that was better than all the other ones combined if they wanted to. But instead they made one that's arguably worse. So, you know, if a studio other than Toei was behind Dragon Ball and people who actually knew what they were doing and like stuff like that, like Dragon Ball Super, at least it would have been so much better. But instead, well, we got Dragon Ball Super, which was an obvious cash grab. I mean, they literally admitted to it basically a while back, where they were like badgering Toriyama about making another series before Battle of Gods, and he kept saying, no, I don't want to do that. And then he came back for Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, and they're like, this is making money, let's rush a new series out, and we'll start by remaking what we just did but worse, and then we'll get to something good, actually, like something new. But it was rushed and a mess and just like nowhere near as good as it could have or should have been. Oh, hey, here's a Toei. You did an amazing job, as always. That's why I talk about the Cell Saga. It's got problems for sure, but way better than anything in Super by far. Hi, Hi, Penny. I like Drummond's Vegeta, but the script obviously wasn't there. Drummond's a cool guy in general. I hung out with him at KamehaCon. We got beer and pizza and stuff, and we talked about different things. It was cool. Him and Peter Calamus. Two cool dudes. You like GT Trunks more than Kid Trunks? I mean, Kid Trunks and Goten get obnoxious and annoying toward the end of, like, really after the second half of the Buu Saga and onward, but they at least still have personalities, whereas GT Trunks is like a black hole of personality. My cat wants to join the stream. What are you doing? Huh? Better not be getting ready to destroy anything in here. He'll appear when he feels like it. Penny. I see you. Hi. Come here. Come on. Hi there. You're the host now. What do you want to say? Hi. What are you going to talk about right now, Penny? What's your video going to be about? Is it going to be about cat food and treats? Is it going to be about destruction? Is it be about why Beerus and Champa are inferior to you? Don't touch that. Come on. Come on. Yeah. He always gets frustrated when I stream and do stuff in here for too long. He wants all the attention to himself. Oh, here he comes again. Hi. What are you doing over here? Now we have the cat in his natural habitat, as he plans to destroy everything in his sights. Is he going to wreak havoc, or perhaps take a nap? That is the way of the cat. Oh no, he's attacking! He's attacking the stream. He is irreparably... Jeez, I gotta learn how to speak English. He's destroying everything in sight. He's wreaking havoc. Ah! Yes, I. Oh boy. Let's get some heralds in the chat for to help ward off the cat. Members unite. He's too powerful for me. His strength is over 9,000. Indeed. Ah, man. What a strange looking dog, yeah. He's peculiar for a dog. Perhaps normal for a cat. He is, I think, about 12 now. I've had him for most of that amount of time. I gotta get like a separate camera just for him at this point. Hi everyone, I'm Penny, and I'm going to
Hakai you all to death. If you do not give me cat treats, you think I'm playing. Let's play a little game.
I'll give you some later, don't worry. You've already gotten some, so you're being greedy, but don't worry, I'll give you some in a little bit. Oh, what just happened? Did I unplug my monitor by accident? Penny, what did you do? Did you Hakai my monitor? Oh no. Oh boy. Very professional streams here at Laughingstock Media. How's it going? That's why we can't always be Cellsog Media here, because it's not always perfect. Oh, here we go. Wait for it. Oh boy. What have you done? Okay, there we go. That was weird. My as you could see, my stream's going in, my monitors and everything are going crazy right now. My Windows is crashing on me. You know, once the Hakai Shin comes into play, everything gets into disarray. That's a little bit better, I think. Why does it look like this? Okay, that's a little bit better, I think. Oh, great. He was very displeased with me, so he had to Hakai my stream momentarily. Now everything is small. Pause. Okay. You know what? It's good enough. I don't care. So the poll. Let's see. Very close between GT and Super. Keep casting your votes, guys. Let's see which one you like more. Is there any hope left for Dragon Ball? Says Murky Hylia Lake. There's a new hope. His name is not Toyotaro. It's Luke S. George Lucas, who's going to buy it from Toei. And he's going to give the giant middle finger to Disney by buying another super popular brand and making it more popular than their terrible Star Wars that they've made for the past several years. That'd be great. I don't know. I can't think of anything. I mean, like, maybe Daima will be good. We'll see. I mean, a lot of people already are disliking it because the whole kid thing, but we'll see. It'll be nice. Do I like Minecraft cows? I've never played Minecraft once, and I don't ever intend to. I don't really have much interest, to be honest. It's like Fortnite, you know. People have asked me if I like Fortnite. Not really. It's boring and mediocre to me, like a lot of those types of games. So yeah, no. I just I get bored playing things like that for the most part because there's, I don't know. It's not my type of game, let's say. Like Fortnite, it's just the Zoomer game. I don't know. It's like Fortnite, like it's not like I haven't tried it, you know, but most of those types of games for me are just boring and just like unenjoyable for the most part. Like, you know, I try and give them a shot and then it's like the same type of gameplay over and over again. It's, you know, okay, so you jump out of this thing from the sky, whether it be Fortnite or PUBG or Modern Warfare or Apex, and then you fly to designated area, and then you find weaponry on ground. And then when you're there, you, you know, will either fight somebody or you'll wait a while and then fight somebody. And then maybe you'll die like immediately. And so you'll be annoyed because you just wasted a lot of your time. And now you have to wait until another match loads and rinse and repeat again and again and again and again and again. Or maybe you'll do like I do and survive until the very end because you're a survivor like Wolverine. And you're really good at that. But your teams are always garbage because they have zero coordination whatsoever and they never listen to you despite the fact that you clearly know what you're doing. And, you know, you always make it to the end and they don't. And then you'll die because you'll fight against really sweaty players who are way better at pointing and clicking than you, or that are like, you know, able to do this or do that. And so then, you know, you eventually just get like bored and tired of playing them and you do something else with your life. And so that's basically what I do every time I play one of those types of games. Minecraft kind of just seems like, you know, Terraria or something with blocks. Again, You know, I prefer, same thing with like stories, like movies and stuff. I tend to prefer something that's more like centralized and focused. Like if you give me a game that's basically just like a sandbox, I'm going to get bored and want to go do something else. Like a media where we try to be perfection, you know, sometimes in the future. So yeah, I don't really like those kind of games. They just are boring to me and monotonous and tedious and frustrating. And so eventually I just stop playing them and go play something else that's somebody might think the exact same thing about, but for me, I enjoy. Like, you know, Final Fantasy X. I was playing Halo in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe, enable those damn notifications.
Yeah, you do a throwback this time. But yeah, I was playing Halo Infinite recently with friends who barely ever play the game or invite me to play it. So as a result, I basically just was spending money every single month on Game Pass for games I wasn't really playing and would occasionally play. And so what happened was that I would play it on my own, and then I would hate playing it because I was just playing with a bunch of people who ran around like Rambo all the time and, you know, wanted to just get a bunch of kills and not play the objective. Become a member if you want, even though I was actually really good at playing the objective in games. And I would like, you know, support the channel. And I would like actually like every time we played Oddball, I would have like 2 minutes of Oddball time. I'd be pulling a Michael Jordan, hogging the ball the whole time basically. Because there's a lot more to. and and you know, I would just dominate in that, and also in the zones and stuff like that. But my team would just not care. They would just be doing a million other things that involve shooting people instead of, like, you know, playing the fucking game. And so I would just stop playing them because I would getting, you know, I'd get really annoyed. Or we would play like Slayer, which is my least favorite one because, you know, that requires me to actually aim and stuff like that. You know, it requires the actual objective of the game most of the time, which is to shoot things. And, you know, people would be playing with their 120 FPS monitors and their amazing controllers, whereas I would be playing with my 60 FPS monitor and my mouse and keyboard, himself. Terrible pun, I know. And basically, yeah, I just would get really frustrated because I didn't enjoy playing the game at all. I would get pissed off at all my teammates who would just suck, and they wouldn't actually want to do what you're supposed to do on a team, which is coordinate. He didn't use it. And then I would give up because I didn't want to play that. And so I went and played Final Fantasy X, and I enjoyed that a million times more because I got to play a single player game. I didn't have to play with other people who ruined my fun. And
So I didn't sell you.
then I, you know, was playing Pokemon. Again, the exact same thing. I didn't have to play with a bunch of people who ruined my fun.
Use the spirit bomb because it made literally no sense to do so.
You know, stuff like that. So that's a big reason why I also prefer single player games, because I don't have to play with other people who ruin my fun and make it where I can't enjoy the game and do what I actually want to do, whether it be, you know, because of all the reasons I just described, or because games become extremely hyper competitive when you play in multiplayer, and sometimes people just like insult you for no reason because, oh, you didn't play exactly the way I want you to play, or, you know, yeah, I guess the subject or the moral of the story is that I hate people and I prefer that they don't exist in my game, in my life. No, but really, hey guys, I just don't enjoy gaming with other people for the most part, unless it's literally like co-op. No. Like I was playing with Josh from Dragon Ball Nation when we played through all the Halo games. That made them a lot more enjoyable to me because, you know, first person shooters for me are kind of like boring and monotonous. And it's like, okay, you just run around without like, you know, thinking, and you shoot things and you do this and you do that. And, you know, these are the games that don't require anywhere near as much strategy as like an RPG or this or that. And so, yeah, you try and have fun. And if you don't, well, get good, I guess, or, you know, whatever people like to say. And, you know, with the RPG, it's like, okay, how are you going to build your character? What is the gameplay that you're going to actualize? You know, like, what's your strategy for the game? What's this? What's that? Okay, cool. Go do it. Have fun. Play Fallout New Vegas. You could play it 57 different times and play a different way every time. And, you know, choose different factions and do this and that. And you don't have to worry about other people being annoying and ruining your time. You can play, you know, play this RPG rather than World of Warcraft, you know, so that as a result, you don't have to worry about annoying players who will keep killing you over and over and over because you're low level and they like to snipe you. Or you won't have to do, you know, let's see, you won't have to go to an instance and go to kill a boss, but then everyone already killed him. So you have to wait 30 seconds or a minute or something like that. A minute, you know, because somebody else already killed him, thus completely ruining your immersion. And like, imagine like you play Ocarina of Time and then you get to fight Ganon. Oh, this is awesome. I finally got to the final boss. Oh, somebody just killed him. Okay, I'm going to have to sit here for a minute while a bunch of other people loot his body and he disappears, and then I have to like then fight him. Oh, cool. Okay. Can these people go away, please, so I can enjoy my time, my life, my experience? Yeah. So that's why single player games for me are almost always better, unless I'm literally playing with friends and they're like coordinating with me and we're getting stuff done. Because most people you play with on the internet are like, yeah, they do the opposite of that. All right, I'll edit this later. Pretty much already done editing. I just have to go through it. Thank you so much, Shonen for Life. Your super chat, you say, have I ever watched Super Mario Bros. Z? Yeah, I watched a little bit of that a while back. It was entertaining, I think. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like a thing. I think I enjoyed it. I don't really remember it all that much. I just remember like Mario and Luigi fighting against people, and they like can go Super Saiyan basically and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm positive that I enjoyed it, or the different episodes that they did. My favorite like spoof or just like whatever of Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball Pay or Dragon Ball Pay or whatever, because I think they did more than one if I remember. Vegeta playing with little boys in spandex again, I see. That was really funny. Kakarot, carrot cake. When I was a little boy, he didn't invite me to his birthday party. You monster frisbee. You just see like Piccolo floating in the background is literally like a pickle with the armor on. That's great. And I don't have to watch 87 episodes of it with, you know, cringy meta jokes and, you know, whatever. Maybe I'm just trolling. Yeah, it's interesting. Very close poll. Thank you so much, Kyle Christie. I really appreciate your kind words. Anyone who says anything nice about my channel or, you know, me, I guess anything like that, I always appreciate it. Anyone who watches in general, you know, you watch any of my content, any of the supporters, the members, always really appreciate that. I also forgot I was going to talk about WrestleMania tonight. I don't know how much longer I'm planning to stream, but I'll talk a little bit about it, sure. Give Toyotaro a chance. Do you think he can improve? I gave Toyotaro a chance. It's been how many years since the guy has been writing the manga? How many chances do I have to give him? It's like when the One Piece fans tell me, give One Piece a chance. You haven't given it a chance. It's like, I've watched 100 episodes of it. How many more episodes do I have to give it a chance on? Right? Like, how many more story arcs do I have to watch? I have like tons of people in my comments. If you don't like it by Arlong Park, then okay, don't watch it anymore. But then like, I've got past that, and then I still get tons of people. You didn't give it enough of a chance. You still don't like it. Why are you talking about? Why are you saying you don't like something and talking about something you don't know what you're talking about? It's like, okay, go watch 100 episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter, Dragon Ball, any of those shows, and tell me what you think about them. And I'll look at you and be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. Toyotaro isn't as good as Toriyama in any way, shape, or form. His art isn't as good. His writing isn't as good. His understanding the characters compared to when Toriyama was writing it, he's not it. He's not the guy to take over. I don't care that Toriyama supposedly picked him. I don't care about any of that. He sucks, and he shouldn't write Dragon Ball and draw it anymore. I'll go on record and say that. Toyotaro, please retire. Go back to writing your fan fiction. You dishonor Dragon Ball by being the person who is leading the manga forward. No longer do it. There you go. I mean, to be fair, it's not like Toyotaro is the one who literally runs and controls Dragon Ball. So obviously that's a little much, right? But either way, no. Step down, put somebody else in there who knows what they're doing. Not even just one person, maybe a bunch of people, right? Maybe like split it up into multiple I mean, how many videos I gotta do this? Toyotaro, you're not it. You're not good enough to be the head of this franchise. I'm sorry. I don't know you as a person. You might be a really cool, nice dude. Might be really fun to hang out with, but you're not it. That's literally how it is. I wish you were, because then I would never have these issues right now, right? You'd be writing an awesome story. You'd be drawing great art. You'd be like living up to Toriyama and like a lot of these other people who have worked on in the past, but you're not it. I'm sorry. You're not the guy. Like people used to say for years about this wrestler or this wrestler. You're not the guy. You're not the top guy. And the longer you're put in that position, the longer somebody else who would be better in that position is not in that position, and thus it suffers because of it. Of course, he's not going to step away. He's going to make money doing this. He's going to get acclaim. He's a big fan of Dragon Ball, supposedly, even though he doesn't understand it anywhere near as much as tons of other people I literally see make videos on this platform. And so why would he step away? Why would he actually step down, other than literally looking objectively at his own art and realizing it isn't good enough and then letting somebody else who is better do it? I mean, so many of the fan base doesn't understand it either. Let's be honest. So many of the fan base, Toyotaro's going to take up the torch. He's going to do such a great job. It's like, no, he isn't. How many arcs in a row does he have to fuck everything up and ruin the series with his terrible writing and story ideas and blah, 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 before you get it that he isn't good enough to do this? That's the frustration of being someone who like loves Dragon Ball and like has watched the modern franchise and just been like, why is everyone around me saying this is great when it's not? But to be fair, I can't say everyone. I can't, especially now, because more and more people are finally like separating themselves from the hype and from like the emotion and everything, and they're seeing Super and the modern franchise for what it really is, and they're understanding, oh, this isn't as good as we thought it was. I mean, a lot of the people who say it is, they haven't actually gone back and rewatched it since it came out, or they like haven't done so objectively. Like they can't separate themselves from the product, and so as a result, they still don't get it, or they're just not like, they're not like critically minded enough, And so it might take a very long time, if ever, for some people to really objectively look at it. I mean, I've loved Dragon Ball since I was a kid, but I could still talk about the original series and Dragon Ball Z and be like, yeah, this has problems here and here and here and here and here and here, right? But like a lot of people, they can't ever do any of that. Like they can never look at Dragon Ball Super or any other arc and be like, there's a plot hole here, or there's a problem here, or this wasn't written that well, or, or you get the complete inverse where it's like, well, it's Dragon Ball. Of course it's not going to be good or well written, or like, well, Dragon Ball Z has issues, Well, these people are doing it, so if I do it, it's okay. I mean, there's no like layers of discernment or critical nature there. So either way, this is one of the big reasons I don't do videos about Dragon Ball Super anymore, because it's just like, it's there's no point, right? Like it's going to ultimately, people are going to make up their own minds. They're going to like what they're going to like. They're going to dislike what they're going to dislike. And that's fine. At the end of the day, some people love GT. Some people love Dragon Ball Super. Some people love Super Dragon Ball Heroes. I gave up watching that because I was like, this is so nonsensical, and just like they just like string along action figure fights, and I don't want to watch this. This is too dumb, But some people love it. Some people think it's great. Some people like Dragon Ball Evolution and The Magic Begins. Some people like all the Disney Star Wars movies, and they literally cry watching the trailers for The Rise of Skywalker and garbage like that. Somehow Palpatine returned. Oh, what a masterpiece. That's them. They can like whatever they like. But me, no, I have an inability to like something I think is terrible, objectively. if I go to a restaurant and I order food and there's like a fly in it and it like fell on the floor and I can like see the clumps of dirt and like the cockroaches coming out of it and everything like that, I can't just like eat the food and be like, this is great. You know, like it's not possible. I don't think that people should do that, obviously. I don't think it's healthy for them to keep eating floor burgers and stuff like that, right? But, you know, they're going to do it and enjoy it anyway, right? The thing is, the only thing I can really control about that situation is me and, you know, my reaction, whether or not I watch and read or don't. That's why I stopped reading the manga. That's why I stopped talking about Super. I'll talk about Cell Saga because that's my favorite arc. I'll talk about the arcs I enjoy. If Super ever comes back, I don't plan to watch it, really, at least at first. I might check it out every now and then out of morbid curiosity, which I talked about in that video, why I don't care if Dragon Ball Super ever comes back or returns or whatever, you know, which YouTube barely promoted. Meanwhile, you'll get people who'll be like, the biggest problem with Dragon Ball Super, 300,000 views in like 2 weeks, even though it's stuff I've been talking about for like 7 years now or whatever, because that's how YouTube works. And then people will be like, wow, applause. You said something that nobody else in this fandom has ever said. It's like, okay, you feel free to think that. But more and more people feel, it seems like the pendulum is shifting in that direction. More and more people are aware of that. I'll still get the people anytime I talk about Super to say I'm a hater and I'm not a real fan and blah, blah, blah. But fortunately, I feel like more and more of that voice has been fading away as more people are like separating themselves from it. And then in turn, realizing that's not true. Because why would I buy all the manga, which most of those people haven't. They have never even read it. Why would I buy all the series, including the Falconer Productions music scored orange bricks that I have all behind me? Why would I own Kai? Why would I own all the movies and even the Super movies and some of the Super manga and stuff like that if I didn't like it? Why would I make thousands of videos about it if I didn't like it? I guess I'm a fake fan who somehow does all that. Who literally invests so much more of my time than any of the people who call me a hater and stuff into it than they do. All right, go for it. Feel free to say what you want. That's what God gave you the ability to do, even if you're wrong when you say it. No chill media today, I guess. Thank you for your super chat, Sean. Let's see, live stream. Okay. So yeah, GT versus Super. 2 cash grabs. Who is the cash grabbiest of all? Okay. Could a trained grade 3 Super Saiyan be stronger than Super Saiyan 3 since the Daizenshuu stated that grade 3 was 10 times stronger than grade 2? I don't think that there's a real multiplier for it necessarily, and I don't agree with the Daizenshuu about that. If it was 10 times stronger, then like, I mean, especially in the anime version, the second that Trunks hit Cell, he would explode and die. Like, that's nonsensical, right? Like, why would it be an arbitrary multiplier? Like, you keep getting your muscles more bulked up, you infuse more and more energy into your muscles. Why would they just get 10 times stronger? Why wouldn't they get linear growth more and more and more and more stronger, right? Like, why does Trunks or Vegeta or Cell, they use that and then they like can bench 10 times more? Like if Trunks goes for like 10 seconds more, can he still only bench 10 times more? But can they be stronger? Yeah, base form Saiyans are stronger now than Super Saiyan 3 was in the Buu Saga. If you mean like literally, I don't see why not. But again, it's kind of like, you know, for me, like I just interpreted and I view the manga that, you know, the way that's shown as they're just bulking up their muscles, increasing their strength exponentially. But realistically, like, let's think about it like this. if it increases their strength, okay, is that all it's increasing? Because when you think about it like this, if you increase your strength, you'd theoretically, even if you're not increasing your speed, what about your defenses, right? Like if your power increases only, wouldn't your defenses also increase? But, Gohan is able to seriously hurt Cell when he goes to like his giant grade 3 basically form when he's fighting him. Physically, he's stronger than he was as perfect Cell. But in terms of defenses and stuff, it doesn't seem like it in that regard. So I don't know. I don't really, like, I did a video a while back that I linked in a recent video, I think my Cell Super Saiyan one, where I talked about the multipliers. I don't really buy any specific multipliers for those forms. I think that, honestly, at that point, I don't think that Toriyama really was going for the whole multiplier thing anymore. And, like, even like after Namek, like you could it makes sense to say Super Saiyan is like 50 times because, Kaioken times 20 was equal to Frieza's 50%. Frieza goes twice that. That'd be 40 times Goku. Goku's still stronger and beats him, even though, like, it's not like significantly... It's not like he can hit him once and Frieza dies, right? So, and Frieza still is able to do that energy shield charge attack and then go around and hit Goku and deal some damage. So it makes sense. But after that, it's like, does it really feel like Goku got 50 times stronger here? Does it feel like the Saiyans are that removed from their Super Saiyan, from their base upward? There's a lot of those kind of things going on there. Especially like also in Dragon Ball Super. Like, does it really feel like Goku is like thousands or millions of times weaker in his base compared to like God and Blue and Ultra Instinct? Not really, no. At no point. I mean, we see like the power reflected when Goku's like punching and hitting Jiren, but like even then, like, does it really seem like, Goku got thousands of times stronger fighting against Jiren? Like, Jiren goes from just like pushing Goku back with his aura to like getting punched and doing nothing. Goku goes Super Saiyan 2 and Jiren's head slightly moves. Goku goes God and Jiren's like one finger. Then he goes Blue and Jiren decides to actually fight a little bit. And then he goes Kaioken. Like, nothing other than like the Kaioken, there's never anything that's like implying straight up multipliers for any of these forms, Like, you still can believe it and, in fact, try and factor it in there. But, again, it's like, did he really just become thousands of times stronger from this to this, right? Like, is that reflected in what we're seeing? And the answer most of the time is no. Especially when you see some of the things that Goku does in his base form in Super. Like, he punches the Sphere of Destruction, destroys it. Did Goku's base just become... that much stronger? Like, is Goku just outputting the amount that he could in a higher transformation in his base temporarily? When he absorbs power of Super Saiyan God, he absorbs it to where he is roughly that power level, let's say, in his base in Super Saiyan the anime. But is Super Saiyan really 50 times stronger when Goku's fighting Beerus in his base before Super Saiyan? Is he 1/50th when Goku goes Super Saiyan Blue or Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan on top of Super Saiyan God? Is he 50 times stronger? It never is reflected. In the manga, it seems like he's maybe 10 times stronger, if that, right? So, there's a million things that go in there, like the Super Saiyan Rose debate. Let's go back to that again. Goku Black, he catches Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta off guard and deals some damage, and he's getting punched a million times and doesn't do anything to him. And then, like right before that, then he goes Rose, which you would think is the blue multiplier, or, people are like, oh, he said Super Saiyan, so it must be 50 times, Mike. It's like, okay, asshole. But like, he does that. And then he attacks Vegeta, and it seems like he barely got stronger at all. and he has to get punched a bunch of times, and then he says that he got stronger fighting Vegeta when he goes to stab him with the sword. And then he fights against Blue Goku, and he's like a little stronger, but he's also fighting against like Super Saiyan 2 Trunks at different points. You know, like, where is the massive thousands of times gap here? Where's like these things that all the fans that scale this stuff always try and say, oh, it's there, guys. You know, Goku's infinity times stronger than he was. He's beyond infinity. He's this nonsensical thing we just said. And then like you have the writers, like when they appear at conventions, they're like, oh, I don't think Goku could destroy the universe. And then people have to like correct them. They're like, oh, maybe he can. It's like, you know, okay. All of it makes sense. But yeah, theoretically, I could see it being physically stronger, like able to push more weight, to punch harder and stuff like that than, you know, the other forms. Theoretically, they could have a Super Saiyan 3 grade 3, right? Like it doesn't just, you know, there could be a Super Saiyan 2 with lightning, and then Gohan just puts some of that energy into his biceps, and, you know, he can do curls more, right? Like it's Cell in his perfect form does that same exact thing. So yeah, long story short, yeah. But okay, before I wrap this up, I want to talk about WrestleMania. So WrestleMania. So I've been a fan of wrestling for like 30 years, since I was like a little kid. And, you know, for many years now, I basically kind of like not enjoyed it or cared about it as much, to be honest. Like I stopped being a fan years ago. Well, not stopped being a fan of wrestling, but stopped really watching it for a while. And there have been breaks I've taken. I took a break during the Attitude Era, like 96 to 98 or 9 or something. I don't know. There was like a couple years or a few years at one point I stopped watching wrestling. You know, I was doing other things. And then, you know, I came back near the tail end of the Attitude Era. I definitely remember like Austin versus Hart and stuff. So I don't know how long it really was, but, you know, I came back and then it was like around WrestleMania 2000 or something. I feel like I missed 99 for sure. So most of Austin's like injury. And, you know, years later, like around the mid 2010s, I stopped watching a lot because WWE was like abysmal and the booking was terrible. And like every single wrestler they built up would be buried the second they fought John Cena, you know. And I didn't dislike Cena. I liked him when I was a kid, you know, when he was doing his US championship and becoming the champion. But the problem was really the booking, not Cena. And, you know, so it was more that they built people up to fight him. Then those people lost, and then they would be thrown down the card and completely worthless and wasted, and, you know, mid-carders, and they would leave the company. One of the wrestlers I really liked was Bray Wyatt, rest in peace. And, you know, they did that with him over and over and over again. My favorite wrestler was always The Undertaker. And it's annoying because, like, I loved his wrestling, especially in the 2000s, like when he was like facing like Edge and Batista and like the SmackDown 5 or 6 or whatever. That was great. A lot of the early Raw stuff from that time, except for Triple H's Reign of Terror, which was like terrible. But, you know, the post-Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era, as they call it now, the Cena era, you know, there was a lot of good stuff there. But for a long time, it just got really bad. And the 3 hours, it was just so bland and boring and drawn out. Every single show felt the same, like, especially like Elias, you know, I liked his character and stuff, but every single episode he gets interrupted when he's about to have a song, and then he gets beaten up. They introduce this new character, and then they become a jobber they give up on the push after like 2 months. You know, they do this and they do that, and just never worked. TNA I was a fan of for years, and then it just fell off, and I just was not enjoying it. It was too much spot fest and things I wasn't into. So yeah, I basically was not watching for a period of time. Then I came back a little bit, with when the Wyatt family and the Shield and a lot of these people were feuding, and it seemed like the new blood was coming in, and there was a period of time I was a huge Daniel Bryan fan, and I was a fan of him getting the title and what they did there, but then they ruined his push immediately with the Kane feud, and it was clear that they never wanted him to be the top guy. They wanted Roman, and I wasn't really a big Roman fan, and I wasn't really into Roman's reign, no pun intended, maybe a little bit. And him as the face didn't work, and then COVID came around, and the virus of unknown origin, and I watched a good amount of that era. I didn't like the Thunderdome. I thought it was really just manipulative with the fake pops and the stuff that they would show on the screens. I just wasn't I watched the Manias with it. I would usually watch the pay-per-views, which is mostly what I do now. I don't really watch Raw and SmackDown very often anymore. I mostly just watch pay-per-views because I have Peacock. Worst name for a streaming service ever. Now Max is up there too. HBO Max is now just Max. Hey Max, how you doing? Shout out to my cousin who probably doesn't watch this, but either way, Roman became the champion and stuff, and I just started to get bored again. The big thing is I don't dislike Roman. I think that he's pretty good. He was way better as a heel, that's for sure. But him as the champion, his reign was one of the most boring reigns I could remember, because the fact that everything was so predictable when he was the champion. It just made the main event null and void. It was like a sitting duck reign the whole time. It's well, Roman's going to win the match, and he does. The vast majority of the time it would be booked exactly the same. Roman, well, he's going to fight this guy. This guy's going to look good for 2 seconds. The guy's going to eventually have him beat, but then all the Usos and Solo in a hoodie are going to show up, and they're going to beat him, and it's going to be interference, and stupid, wacky, overbooked shenanigans. And, it's like last WrestleMania. Roman fought Cody. Roman won, which I thought was really stupid, because it was oh God, here's another year of this. And so literally what I thought was, oh, okay, now I don't have to care about the main event for another year, because of course Roman's not going to lose until next WrestleMania at the earliest, because they want to keep the reign going. And so, he was, as much as there was definitely some entertaining stuff there. Some people helped to get over when they faced him. Roman is kind of an inspirational figure, because he's wrestling and he had leukemia. He had all this stuff like that, which is legit. And but at the same time, he barely wrestled. He was basically working an 80s Hulk Hogan as the champion, title defense metric, where he defended his title 30 something times in over 3.5 years. And a lot of them were against the same people, Brock Lesnar again and again and again. My least favorite feud of the past century, because it just never ended. Even though I really liked Brock Lesnar, but it's oh my God, here it goes again. And it's so I was really bored with that. Some of the Bloodline stuff I liked, but again, it was this is just more Roman champion. I don't care. And the fact that they literally invented a title just because they refused to take the belt off Roman, and they just made a new title and gave it to Seth Rollins, all this stuff was really stupid. I also was never I like Seth Rollins in the ring, but his promos and his character are just so obnoxious to me. I don't enjoy watching him that often when he's not wrestling. So it's I wasn't a fan of his title reign either. It just seemed no matter what, he was always second fiddle to Triple H and stuff. So that's kind of my initial fandom going into WrestleMania this year. I still like wrestling. I watched it a good amount. But at the end of the day, I just didn't really want to watch wrestling that much, because I was so bored and didn't care about everything that was happening for the most part. There were certain feuds and stuff I liked. I went to NXT won the takeovers near the end of last year. And, you know, my favorite match of like the past few years is probably Walter versus Dragunov. And now Walter, I know, is Gunther and stuff and everything like that. So going into WrestleMania this year, I was a little bit more into it. You know, I thought, okay, maybe they're actually going to put the title on Cody this time. Maybe they're actually going to, you know, have a good show. The Rock came back and now he's the head of the TKO, you know, one of the people who's like basically the head of WWE. Triple H, his stuff has been on and off, to be honest. Like it's obvious Vince was still involved or whatever was going on until recently. And, you know, now that he's not there, it's kind of like more interesting in a lot of ways. The booking's definitely different. The camera angles, the way that the commentary talks, because in the past the commentary is basically like GTA and NPC commentary, where you'll be like in a car and the commentators, you know, the NPCs in the car will be talking, then you smash into another car, something crazy happens, they're like, hey, watch out. Anyway, let's keep saying the exact same thing I was just saying. It just was so disconnected and unreal. Now it's better. You know, there was a lot of really good stuff on this WrestleMania that definitely helped me to be more interested. Like, best match of the weekend for me was probably Sami Zayn versus Walter. That one was really good. You know, I like Rhea Ripley a lot. She's pretty great. You know, definitely all about that with her. You know, so I was happy she beat Becky. I would not be happy if Becky won that. I was a fan of Becky years ago when she became the man, but you know, then she became kind of boring, especially around the time that she started to be more public about her being husband and wife with Seth Rollins, and they just became obnoxious. The fact that she like beat Bianca Belair in one move in like 30 seconds was terrible booking. And you know, just a lot of things around her. She just fell off hard. So Rhea, I was all about her winning. I'm glad she did again. You know, Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins, I thought was a pretty good match. I was very disappointed that they immediately had Drew McIntyre lose his title right after the match to Damian Priest. That was annoying. I was like, ugh, really? You have this guy finally win the belt? I know he's a heel and stuff, but it's like, now you just take the title off of him immediately so he can't have his moment, because let's further a feud with him and CM Punk. It's like, all right, I guess. I would have much preferred to see them fight for the championship at some point, but you know, I guess that's instead it's gonna be Jey Uso versus Damian at some point, which, I mean, it's obvious they weren't gonna do heel versus heel. Speaking of the Uso brothers match, it was okay. It was like a typical WWE storyline over substance match, in which it was like, you know, kind of predictable. I assumed Jay would win. He did. You know, then you have the tag. So let's see what else happened that week. The tag team match with the ladder match and everything was all right, I guess. You know, it's no TLC match. It's no Money in the Bank matches. You know, it was fine. Like, the winners, I don't really care about. I'm not a fan of like Austin Theory's tag team. It's like, you know, Austin Theory just fell off too, I feel like, you know, from what I've seen. Now he's in some tag team, you know, Truth and Miz. Like, I think it's kind of ironic that the Truth and Miz teamed up against Cena and The Rock, and that pay-per-view bombed, and then they blamed the Truth and Miz for it. And now they're feuding again, or they're in a tag team again and winning the titles again, maybe. I don't remember if they had them last time. While The Rock is in charge, basically, so I think that's a little bit funny. Maybe he was like paying him back in a sense. I don't care about their tag team, or either. Like, R-Truth is entertaining. I don't care about The Miz, to be honest. Like, I just, you know, for me, it's just, you know, he's okay. He works hard. I know that. Like, he's not as bad as a lot of people made him out to be, but I just don't really care. The last match on night one, I didn't like it, to be honest, that much. It was definitely a nostalgic match but it was like a typical Roman Reigns pay-per-view match. And honestly, I feel like whoever is the agent for most of Roman Reigns main event matches needs to stop being the agent for them, because he doesn't do a good job. Because like every single Roman Reigns match is twice as long as it needs to be when it's the main event. This match was like an hour long with the intros, and like if it was like on fast forward and if it was half as long, it would have actually been entertaining. But the vast majority of it for me was just so long and boring and slow that I was just like, how do you make a match with The Rock boring? But they found a way. So it was literally just like a brawl for 50%, for 90% of the match, let's be honest. You know, there were some entertaining spots here and there, like the people's elbow, and then like, you know, getting like stopped and then happening again, and The Rock doing some of his heel stuff, but, you know, like pulling the ref out and saying, you know, you don't fucking count or else you're fired and stuff like that was entertaining, but it was just so dragged out and so boring that I just was like, oh my God, can we just like do something faster here? And that's most of Roman's matches as the champion in the main events. It's like so boring and so slow. And it's not him, I don't think, is the wrestler. I don't think it's like any of the people involved as wrestling. It's just that they give them way too much time for these matches. So many times I'll be watching them and they'll watch reviews afterward and they're like, that main event was great. It's like, what are you talking about? How is that a great main event? Like, they didn't need half that length of that match to actually have an entertaining match. Like, you know, look at like a long match that's actually great, like Steamboat versus Flair, or Bret Hart versus Flair. You know, like a lot of these long technical showcase matches. Look at like Walter versus Dragunov. Look at like, you know, some of these awesome matches that go a while, but they actually feel like they're doing stuff the entire time and it actually feels warranted. It isn't Roman hitting him once and then walking around the ring and talking crap and, you know, all the stuff, and then it has like 15 interferences. Like, that's not a good match. That's boring and it's like predictable, right? It's like way too slow and dragged out. So, you know, for the Rock match with Roman, I liked some of it, but for the most part, I was like, oh, you know, enough. Like, just end the match. And when that's like one of the main events of WrestleMania, that's not good. That's not good. You know, and the ending was predictable. I knew that the heels were going to win. That way they could stack the odds even more against Cody. Now for night 2, in many ways, I liked it a lot of it more. I think the best female match, like the best one-on-one women's match, was probably Io Sky, formerly Shirai, versus Bayley. That one had the correct winner as well. But I thought their match was definitely better than Becky and Rhea. Even though I think that Io's a little overrated in terms of her ring skills, every time I watch her in a match, it seems like she's botching something here and there, or like she's a little sloppy. But either way, like, I thought that, you know, and the way that she came out to the ring, it looked like she had a concussion or was like drunk or something, you know, but that's kind of like what they do with like a lot of the wrestlers from there, like Asuka. Like, I used to love Asuka, like when she was like taken seriously in the ring, and, you know, then she eventually just became like whatever she ended up being, where she would just scream and random gibberish most of the time and just like, who is ready for Asuka? And, you know, screaming and like wearing like the Kiss makeup and everything. It's like, what the hell are they doing with her? You know, I would have much preferred her versus Bayley or something, you know, or like Rhea versus Asuka would have been, you know, more interesting, or even Rhea versus Charlotte again, you know, like Rhea versus, you know, somebody else. But it makes sense because I think Rhea beat Charlotte finally, and now she beats Becky, so she's cemented in many ways as like the top woman, Rhea on top, right? And so, you know, so I thought the Bayley match was better out of the women's. Like, that was the best female match. There might have been a female tag team. I feel like there was, but I didn't really care or watch it that much. Some of the matches I just was in the other room because I didn't care. I feel like there was another tag team match at one point, Playa, and then, you know, they went on one with the Undertaker. No, that was in the main event. But, you know, I didn't really care that much. You know, some of the matches I don't even remember because I didn't care. Like I said, Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins was good. You know, I expected Drew to win, especially because they were selling the whole thing from last night or the night before, but I didn't really like that he lost his title immediately. A lot of times the Money in the Bank stuff is just, nowadays it's like rolling my eyes, because it's like, whoever really gets over as a top guy with Money in the Bank anymore, if at all. You know, does anyone care enough about Damian Priest for him to be like a legitimate champion? I don't think so. As the top guy, at least, you know. And even then, it's the pointless title. It's the one that was created just because they didn't want to take the belt off Roman. And so it's like the workhorse championship, aka the championship that has no lineage, that they just invented, like the fake world heavyweight championship they gave to Triple H, and they said it was the WCW belt. But, you know, at least that was given to him by Bischoff, I think, and so it had a little bit more lineage. Either way, like I said, Seth versus Walter, best match of the weekend for me, probably. And the main event, Cody versus Roman. Way better than most Roman matches as a main event, like a million times better. And it still was like ridiculously overbooked at the end, you know, with like all the run-ins and stuff, which you expect with like a WrestleMania main event in WWE, especially in this day and age. They couldn't just have a one-on-one match between the two of them and have it be like mostly like a straight up fight, and then have like the superior one win. Like, it has to be like insane, like bloodline rules and, you know, low blows and chair shots and this and that. But it was an entertaining story that did what it needed to do, and way more fast paced than every Roman match I just explained before. And you know, Cody, like, they had a lot of fun stuff in there. They had, you know, the Uso, I think Jay came in, or Jimmy, whichever the heel one is, and he attacked him, but Cody kicks out, and then his other brother spears him off the side of the ramp, which was entertaining. They had Wild Solo appears, and he uses the, instead of him wearing a hoodie, thankfully he wasn't wearing a hoodie this time, and showed up twice in the match, and apparently lazy writing just allows him to wear a hoodie the second time and get away with it. But yeah, he just like Simone spiked him like Umaga, but he still kicks out of that in the spear, because, you know, finishers in wrestling nowadays are basically signature moves that you could hit a million times and people always kick out. And, you know, there was that. And, you know, then finally The Rock shows up and is like attacking him. And then, you know, John Cena helped to get rid of Solo. And then John Cena fights The Rock, even though The Rock just rock bottoms him and says, "Get the fuck out of my ring," which I was disappointed by a little bit. Like, you didn't have to make John Cena seem so irrelevant compared to like the power level of The Rock at this point, that The Rock just like one-shots him, especially since Cena beat The Rock the last time they fought. So I thought maybe there would be a little bit more credibility and credence to that. But apparently The Rock's power level as the final boss is like multiplied with Rocco Ken, or I don't know, some stupid the Super Rock Saiyan, I don't know, Rocker Saiyan, who cares, Super Dwayne, and he leveled up as the final boss, and so he just annihilates John Cena like everyone does every time Cena wrestles now. Apparently he just puts people over. Which, you know, is kind of funny because people used to say the opposite about him, and now look now. And then The Undertaker shows up. He was summoned by Teddy Long because he was pissed off about The Rock. And so The Undertaker chokeslams The Rock, and then he, like, magically makes him disappear. And then Seth Rollins appears with the Shield music. At first I thought maybe Dean Ambrose was going to show up. I was like, oh, cool. It's going to be Seth and Dean Ambrose, and maybe Kurt Angle wearing a vest again. But no, it's just Seth, even though he immediately gets taken out, like, and the camera didn't even catch it happening, which was kind of not as good as it should have been. And then, like, they have the callback to when Seth turned on Roman, which they've done callbacks to a million times at this point over the years, because it was like the big modern storyline, I guess, even though it set up the mediocre Seth Rollins title reign, and Dean Ambrose eventually just left the company and stuff. But, you know, instead of hitting Rhodes with the belt, he hits Seth, and eventually this sets up the finale, where, you know, You gotta love Paul Heyman. He's screaming, no! You know, over and over. He's great. And, you know, Seth or Rhodes hits him again and again with the crossroads. His finisher, instead of hitting him once with his finisher, he always has to hit his opponent 3 times with it, which means that basically it's 1/3 as effective as like the stunner or like an actual good finisher, I guess. Or people's power levels are so high that they need 3 finishers now to be beaten, even though they've already taken 15 of them during the match, and it's been, you know, a half an hour, 40 minutes at this point. But, you know, he wins, which he should have. And the crowd like exploded when he got the 3 count because, you know, it's almost like The Undertaker getting pinned by Lesnar at Mania. Nobody actually expects that 3rd slap of the mat, sometimes 4th, depending upon the referee, to actually happen. So people like, you know, babies up in the air, as Jim Cornette, people would say, you know, like bras up in the air. Just not the one from Dragon Ball. And, you know, pan flies in the air, though. But either way, Cody Rhodes won. The right decision to make. He basically had the torch passed him by like the big faces going in, helping him, and all the heels failing to beat him. You know, good, perfect conclusion. He actually like gives a congratulations speech while the other faces are hoisting him up in the air and saying how great he is. It was like Lex Luger's beating of Yokozuna, except actually he won this time for real and actually worked. And, you know, they're like cheering him on, and then he gives like the speech, and he's with his wife, who everyone hated in AEW, but now they're like in WWE because she barely is ever on TV. And, you know, his mom, which was nice, which was sweet, and his other family. And, you know, then like he brought Triple H and Bruce Pritchard, and he was hugging them and talking to them, and, you know, great ending. And then the next day on Raw, they set up a future Rock versus Cody Rhodes match, which makes sense. You know, they got Rock to get the victory over Cody, so they set up a story. WWE's actually doing long-term storytelling now instead of like 2-week storytelling where Vince can only remember 2 weeks. So, you know, the audience can only remember 2 weeks just like me. So, you know, that's some good shit. Speaking of shit, here's my... No, I'm not going to talk about that. That's gross. But either way, it's also really bad. But yeah, either way, you know, they're setting up things to come. The Raw after Mania is usually entertaining. Maybe not as great as a lot of the other ones have been. This wasn't the best WrestleMania ever by any means. They keep saying it's the biggest one. They hyperinflate the numbers. Oh, we had 210,000 people in the arenas, you know, for Raw and WrestleMania this year. It's like, well, not unique people. I'm sure most of the same people came back for both nights. And, you know, then for Raw, they usually get tickets for all of them. So... yeah, either way, really good WrestleMania. Helped me to kind of come back as a fan again. And, you know, is it as good as WrestleMania X7? Of course not. None of them have been, except for, I think maybe a couple years ago or something. There was a great one that was really up there. But, you know, the only thing is, like, I kind of wish that instead of Undertaker showing up, despite him being my favorite wrestler, they had Austin show up and, like, stun The Rock. Because, like, I kind of was expecting instead of the dong, you know, the bong, Undertaker hitting that wand, that's where it makes the smoke come out, you know, would have been, like, the glass shattering, because Austin did wrestle, I think it was last year against Kevin Owens, so, like, him coming out and then, like, seeing Austin and The Rock again, then him hitting Rock with the stunner would have been great. Maybe they'll do that for the match, I don't know, I guess at next WrestleMania with him and Cody, if that's where it happens, maybe SummerSlam. That'd be cool. You know, I'm not complaining about an Undertaker appearance, though. But, you know, either way, I thought it was really good this year. And, you know, I watched Raw for once. So I'll probably watch SmackDown this week. And, hey, we'll see how long I stick with it. Hopefully Raws and SmackDowns and wrestling in general is going to be good. I don't really watch AEW anymore because I got bored of it and I don't care anymore. But, you know, overall, liking where things are going. And so that's why, for me, WrestleMania helped me to kind of come back as a fan. So if I clip this in the future, that's probably going to be the title or something else that's going to get clicks. Either way, make sure to let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Memberships are now available for anyone who wants to see them on the channel to help support us. 3 tiers. And with that being said, stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future. Okay, so if I decided to clip this, which I've considered doing, there you go. Here's my WrestleMania. My, to quote Santino Marella, WrestleMania, John Cena, Santino Marella. That's who should have come out to actually help. He should have hit The Rock with the Cobra. That would have been entertaining. And then R-Truth would have come out to try and help him, and then he'd be like, "Oh, I'm afraid of snakes," and he runs away. It was kind of funny that R-Truth was the one that pulled. I should have mentioned this. R-Truth was the one that pulled down the titles because R-Truth was always afraid of climbing a ladder, and he was. I hope somebody doesn't put a spider on that ladder. But yeah. 2 years ago. Wow, time flies. Thank you so much, Xavier. Mike, should Kane have ever unmasked? Should he? I'm fine with that. I mean, Jason unmasked. Like, Kane and Undertaker are basically like slasher villains. So, I'm fine with that. I think that they unmasked him in an interesting way. It was more like the follow-up, I feel like, is more of the problem, right? Where basically they could have done a little bit better with the follow-up, but, it is what it is. Like, they have him with the burns and the makeup and stuff, but then the next week it's like you don't actually have those, but then for some reason he has, like, an eye contact, and eventually it went away, and he's Corporate Kane and stuff. It's like, I liked it more when he put the mask back on. I prefer like if we're viewing wrestlers as like fighting characters where they have the different skins and stuff, I prefer wrestlers like that. I don't really like, I prefer his mask self. Just like I prefer Undertaker's like dead man kind of gimmick and clothing and stuff, I never disliked American Badass Undertaker, though. I loved Undertaker my whole life as my favorite wrestler. There were points where him and Kane were like my favorites because I always liked horror movies and the dark characters and the weird supernatural stuff. I was a fan of Sting, so I liked that kind of stuff. Even I liked Kevin Thorne's, weird gimmick with the vampire in ECW. I liked Mordecai when he showed up. Not from regular show. That was a good show for what I saw. But I liked him when he did that. I definitely like Shelly Martinez, that's for sure. But, I like those types of characters. They're interesting to me. I liked the kind of character that Darby Allin was going for, even though I feel like the guy's going to end up in a wheelchair before he's, 30 at this rate, or, before 40, which is a shame, especially with some of the crazy stuff he does. Brothers of Destruction, it's like freaking Michael Myers and Jason teaming up as a tag team, basically. And, I love that stuff. So I didn't mind, like, their changes as long as they were handled correctly. Sometimes Kane was after the mask, and sometimes he wasn't. I thought it was cool that he actually did beat The Undertaker one time in that storyline they had, because he never was able to. I actually didn't hate... See, here's the thing. I didn't hate the May 19th storyline with Kane. Every year, every time May 19th comes around, a month and 10 days from now, I always think, May 19th, who said that number? Because the fake Kane... with him showing up in the mask with Drew or Festus, I forget what his real name is, the Doc, from TNA. I didn't mind that. I kind of wish that they had continued that because it was so like ridiculous that I enjoyed it. It's definitely better than Katie Vick, that's for sure. Triple H getting in the coffin with the puppet and not the puppet, the mannequin, and just going to town on it with the Kane mask. That was not good. And that basically ended Kane's main event push for that period of time. But I do wish that Kane had won the belt from Triple H back when he was super popular. He was like the most popular face at one point, but that Reign of Terror was terrible. So yeah, always loved Kane. Thought he was great. Might have considered voting for him if I lived in Tennessee, but then again, I'm not much of a voter. Let's see. Black Adam would one-shot Peacemaker. That isn't even a question, yeah. But what about Black Adam versus Homelander? Now that's a real question. And Omni-Man. And everyone versus Superman and Goku, because we always have to do Superman versus Goku, because that's the ultimate clickbait technique. That's a clickbait technique for YouTube videos. Just ask Death Battle, who's done it 15 times, and every single time Superman wins, because obviously they're not biased at all against Goku and towards Superman, even though you could think of a million different versions of Superman who would get one shot by Goku at his strongest. But either way, who could get one shot by Yamcha, which, by the way, that video is coming out this year. Why Yamcha would stomp Superman. And no, certain channels, you better not steal that topic from me, because I will call you out. Well, to be fair, I feel like most channels don't have the cojones, the grapefruits, as Vince McMahon used to say, to make that video. But I do, because I'm Cell Saga Media. How's it going? Is it perfect? I always want to say how's it going in that, but I can't, because I feel like that doesn't flow with the Cell Saga Media thing. Asuka's never won a Mania match. That's BS. She definitely should have. Yeah, it's interesting. GT and Super. Based upon popular thoughts, you'd think that Super would annihilate GT in every poll, but it's not. And Xavier DeGod. Brandy Rhodes is hot-ish. It's kind of funny. Hot-ish. I guess maybe that's a compliment. Thank you so much, LOL. I used to talk about wrestling about 9-10 years ago. You could actually find a lot of those videos on my channel. I was doing a lot of different content back then. Then I just mostly started talking about Dragon Ball because that's what the algorithm promoted and people wanted to watch. And so I was like, okay, well, I would like to be successful. Let's do it. Oh, Phantom. I actually just talked about that stuff. Only 30 minutes after you said it. Yeah, Luke Gallows. There you go. Yeah, I mean, that definitely wouldn't have worked. It's kind of funny that Kane was thinking of having somebody replace him as Kane, considering the fact that Kane literally was in a feud, or Kane was literally the one who portrayed fake Diesel. And everyone hated that because Vince was so petty that he tried to have Diesel and Razor Ramon still in the company, even though Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were not in the company anymore. And so he's like, well, they're just characters, I'll have somebody else play them. Oh yeah, that really worked out great, didn't it, Vince? I mean, imagine if Brian Michaels or whatever ended up being the one who stayed as Undertaker with the fake Taker when Taker was actually injured, and then he came back with the weird beauty mark on his face and the mask and stuff to beat him. Remember when Undertaker also dressed up as Kane? That was kind of funny. And he took off the mask and it was like Undertaker. That was great. Remember when he was called Kane the Undertaker for two matches back in 1990? And they actually recorded at least one of them before he debuted at Survivor Series. I remember watching on the MSG network. Not the thing they put in Chinese food. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you all so much for the members. Let me give a shout out to everyone before I end up wrapping this up. This is going to actually be a canon stream, so it's going to be on here. Let's see if that's going to horribly backfire. Thank you, AP, for your super chat. Micah W for becoming a member. Awesome. Hopefully you guys saw for everyone who became a member tonight, go to the community tab and you could see that link to join the Discord so we can have fun conversations on there. Some live chats, polls. I'm going to do a lot of stuff on there. So make sure to join that Discord. You just have to link your YouTube to it. You don't have to be public as to what your name is on there and stuff if you don't want to be. Either way, you go on there and we'll be able to have a lot of cool stuff coming up for you. Thank you, Xavier, for your chats. Darth Bobcat as well. Shonen for Life. John Griggs. Dusk 5261. I think I answered yours. Yeah, perfect. I don't want to skip anyone's stuff. Thank you, everyone, so much for all of your support. I always really appreciate everything that you guys do. I'm grateful that you guys watch this and appreciate, some of what I do. That, me not always having the same opinions as every other channel doesn't turn you guys off and make you just decide to stop watching me and stuff. That's, that's always appreciated as well. And have a great night or day or whatever. I will see you Thursday at 1 p.m. for my next video. Sunday, 1 p.m. for that video. And, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, and some other videos in between. That being said, make sure to stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future.